Look, we're live. We're live.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. The thought of me having to work indefinitely made me depressed.
Hey, I wanted to quit my job a long time ago, years ago. I was sick and tired of that job. I was sick and tired of the clients having to hold their hands and wipe their nose.
Well,
I might as well wipe their butts.
Did he just say that? Yes, he did.
It was working my nerves, y'all.
January 6th was a game changer for me. It was a game changer, especially working in politics and having to deal with all that political drama. I mean, it was just nauseating.
I was tired of my job.
Sweetheart, you said that already.
I know, but I needed to hear it again.
All right. Let's talk about it then.
Yeah, well, we should introduce ourselves first. Don't you think?
Hey, y'all. My name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to Our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, we talk about travel and retiring abroad. We help folks who look like us, getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan, get their money straight so that they can retire on time or maybe even early.
Early's good.
Early is good. So what are we talking about today, sweetheart?
Today we're talking about... Where are you moving my screen?
So you can see what we're supposed to be talking about.
I see what we're talking about.
Okay, what are we talking
about? Messing me up. See, you acting like them clients I was working with and stuff like that.
We looking at our notes, y'all.
The 5 easiest residency and digital nomad visas.
No, why we left and why we don't want to go back and how you can do it too.
But we're also talking about the top 5 easiest visas and residencies to get.
Yes, we will. So if you stick around to the end, we will give you a list of those top 5 residency and digital nomad visas. And then we'll go into 3 financial scenarios. So hopefully you can find something that reminds you of your scenario, understand the thought process and how to plan to get out of the USA or your home country as soon as possible.
Soon as possible.
Right? But first, if you're new to our channel, then you might not know. About 8 years ago, Rick and I had a wake-up call. We were getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan. We looked at our money and it was looking crazy. But we did get our financial act together. About 4 years ago, we went from negative 22,000 over 1.1 million in net worth. Yeah, if we can do it, you can do it too, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow of Exodus Summit just did a video entitled Expert Advice on Moving Abroad Now. A link to that video is in the description below. And with everything that is going on politically, we thought we would continue that conversation because after the debate between Biden and number 45, the amount of searches that went to how to move away from the USA, how to move abroad, how to move to fill in the blank went up exponentially. So we thought we would give you what you're asking for. Next week, we will be talking about money. So you want to make sure you come back next week to know everything that you need to know of how to get your money straight and get that money going. All right. So we're going to say hello to the folks who are in the chat. But first, let's just get into why we moved. Because some of these, there's 2 things. There's why we moved when we made the decision, right? Back in January, when we made the decision to move sooner than later,
right.
Back basically the holidays of 2021, right? We gave notice after the holidays. So 2022, right? So end of 2021, we made the decision that 2025 is not going to happen. It's going to happen sooner. And we made the decision that we were really, really tired of working.
Oh, yeah.
For some of you who have been looking at us for a while, I was working 70 hours a week. I was taking care of my dad who had dementia and my hair was falling out. I had lost so much weight without trying. It was ridiculous. I was stressed out. I was stressed out, y'all.
She was.
I was stressed out. And then at the time, okay, I'm going to get a little political. At the time, Biden was making so many gaffes, right? Like he was putting his foot in his mouth so many times. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to be around and try to defend this crap. it was making me tired just thinking about the next election. Made me tired.
It was making me tired watching you be tired.
It was.
It really was.
So, so for me, the number one reason why we moved abroad or why we made that decision back in December 2021 is because we wanted to quit our jobs and we did not have enough money to stay in the United States. Bottom line.
No.
Bottom line, right?
No.
The high cost of living, right? Like our housing, it's interesting because when the fit was hitting the sham, our mortgage actually went down to like $900 a month, y'all, back in like 2012, 2013. God is good. But because we had an adjustable and it would adjust for the whole year. But, it started coming back up. So then we had to go ahead and get that 30-year fixed. And so, I mean, we could have afforded to stay in our house, but that's all we would have been able to afford to
everything
do.
else was going like out of the roof. It was crazy.
We wouldn't be able to travel or any of that other stuff, right? And then like healthcare would have been okay because Colorado did a good job, implementing ACA. But as they start chipping away from it, the healthcare, the coverage goes down.
Yeah.
So the price stays the same, but the coverage goes down. So then you're out of pocket. For those who have health issues, you're out of pocket more. So healthcare, medical costs, food, transportation, gas prices were going through the roof. Insurance was going through the roof, especially in Colorado because we had so many hailstorms, global warming, so many hailstorms.
No, there's no such thing.
Only in America do they believe that. Besides our house, my car was getting dimpled and everything else. So everything was just going through the roof. And I was like, if we stay and we don't work, we will be house rich, cash poor, and we won't be able to enjoy our lives.
Yeah,
we just be less stress from work and more stress from finances, right?
But we would have had to continue to work more.
Right.
And past retirement age.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And
exactly.
We didn't need that. You don't need the stress on your health.
No.
So,
so that was, the main reason was we could not afford to stay in the United States and not work for somebody.
And I tell my family members that too when we talked about different things that they asked me about. Well, why would you leave the United States? I say, I couldn't afford it, and neither can you really.
That's why you crowdfunding for this and crowdfunding for that and GoFundMe for this and GoFundMe for that, right? I think Our Rich Journey just did a video on why they don't
borrow money,
right? They don't loan their family and friends money. Like nah, but right. So it's kind of like Walmart. Like Walmart pays a crap wage. And then as you're filling out the stuff and getting the job and going through orientation, they pass you something for SNAP, and for Section 8, right? So we taxpayers are subsidizing Walmart's business plan with Section 8 and SNAP benefits for all of their employees. And we have family members and friends who want to supplement their business plan, their life plan, their financial life plan with GoFundMe and crowdsourcing, right? Like, you can't depend upon donations.
No,
The second thing is, as I said before, I was just so tired of that 24-hour political news cycle. And for my job, we had to respond, not 24 hours, but basically 24 hours a day. We had to absorb all of that stuff, read all of that stuff, and then put out statements. And I'd have to go on the news and give my opinion on this and that. And it's just like, some things are just indefensible.
Yeah, and we wanted to live a better, affordable, comfortable, relaxed, stress-free lifestyle.
Yeah. Secondarily, like we already knew that the United States didn't have good quality food because our first huge international trip, and when I say huge, that means beyond the Caribbean, right? I remember when I thought the Caribbean was like going someplace, and I'm not saying it's not because it's not the United States, but it is just right there, right? So, and usually when folks go to those places, they stay on resorts.
Yes.
Right. And
True.
you don't. But when we went to South Africa and I noticed how much better the food was and how much less crap they had, even in their processed food, even in their American branded processed food like Coca-Cola and Frito-Lay, I felt some kind of way. I was like, why do they get better food than we get? And it's less expensive. How does this make sense, right? So we already knew that food quality in the United States was not up to par, and that there was less preservatives and chemicals in the food elsewhere. But that was secondary. That was secondary.
Well, and then the adventure of living in a different country and, getting to learn and see a different culture.
Yeah, that's that has always been one of our things. We've always put adventure into our life, and so yeah, the adventure of the whole thing was definitely appealing. But we wanted to travel more, and that was really huge. We got our first taste traveling. To me, adventure traveling when you were going to a totally different culture. When we went to South Africa, and once we got bit by that bug, it was all over.
Oh, and let's not forget the fun, the enjoyment of learning a new language.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to learn a new language going to South Africa, obviously.
Well, no, not South Africa. But...
Obviously. All right. We're going to talk about why we don't want to go back. We're going to talk about why you should move and the questions that you need to ask yourself. And then we're going to explain the difference between a typical residency visa and a digital nomad visa. And then finish that off with the 3 case studies that we have put together for you so that you can find your situation within these stories. If you have a question, you know what to do. Utopians, you're going to put a Q in front of your question or a comment that you want to be shown. If I don't see it and you've seen that I've passed it by, just put it in the chat again, copy and paste and put it in the chat again, because I'm looking very quickly as we do everything else. So let's say hello to the folks who are in the chat and go back up to the top. Shaquan, hey there. Can't wait to see you. You're going to be here very soon. Action VJ's in the house. Hey, y'all, I feel a sermon coming on. This is not like the one that we did when Stop Lying to Yourself. Black America's in Trouble. If you haven't seen that video, go see that video. But yeah, it's not going to be totally that type of party, but we're going to jam pack this with a lot of information. All right, y'all. So if this is the kind of information you like to hear, hit that like button, as Action VJ said, and get ready to learn. Take your notebooks out, because we are going to give you the easiest temporary visas, permanent visas, and the easiest digital nomad visas. Hey, Ra.
Hey, Ra.
Good to see you. Vanessa is in the house. Hey, Jess. Good to see you. Tracy. Hey, y'all. Happy hot Sunday from Maryland. Ooh. It's finally cooled down here.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Last week.
We're getting a breeze.
We got a breeze today. We saw our friends perform in Macbeth and on last Thursday. On 4th of July. Yeah. And that's why we didn't go live. And we just released the video about Coimbra. We've been wanting to release that video for a time. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. Maybe I'll put a link probably over there. I don't know. It's always reversed. Somewhere there'll be a link. So we went to see Macbeth. And even at 11 or 12 o'clock at night, I had a sundress on with no scarf, no nothing. It was so warm.
Nice. It was real nice.
It was so warm. My feet got eaten alive by the mosquitoes. I guess I forgot to spray my feet. I don't know. But then now it's cool. It's definitely like cool, back down to 72, 73 degrees. So really happy about that. Hey, Kay Renee. Can't wait to see you. How's LA doing? Is it still hot? Is it still hot over there? Allison is in the house. Hello, everyone. Hope life is treating you all well.
Life is good.
So Friday, my mom had a stroke, something, and was rushed to the hospital. So it seems like I try to catch up on the comments. I like to answer every single comment, and there's always something that gets in the way. If you came to the meetup, I'm going to be sending out an email regarding the special discount you all get to the next Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. So look for that. I meant to send it out on Friday. Let me see how that worked out. Hey, Anya, good to see you. Vicky,
Hey, Vicky.
Good to see you. I'm so sorry that you're still not here. Tanya is in the house. Helen's in the house. CK. Hey there.
We were talking about you the other day.
Yes, we were. Hey, Chandra, good to see you. Stephen is in the house. Boa noite. OBU family from Riverside. Woo, I know it's hot there. Hey, Nicole, just on the other side of the river. Killer Queen is in the house. Good to see you, Pinky. Hello, Holly. When y'all coming? Grand Island, New York. When y'all coming? It's time to come back.
Yeah.
Hey, Marguerite, down there living that beach life. Luxury bucket list is in the house. LL Cooper. Vicky Hayward is in the house. Hey, Tracy. Good to see you. Helen, Yari, Michelle, Lori, we're here for some learning today. Love Our Black Utopia family. Thank you so much, Lori. Mrs. Rogers' neighborhood is in the house. Jahari, that's a new name.
Is it?
Because it reminds me of our youngest son's name, Jabari. So it seems like I would remember that, Jahari.
Okay.
What does it mean, Jahari? Let us know in the chat below. Hey, Jametta.
Yakota Strong.
Yakota, I sent you a text. You ain't answered. I'm calling you out. Look at your WhatsApp. I sent you a text. I sent you some Texases.
Tell Peter we said hello.
Hey, James. Good to see you. Minx. This is another new name. Hey, we're so happy that you're here, Stella. Allison. Hey, Stella. We've got Latanya. Chastity, Nichelle, somewhere elsewhere. Bridget, hello, family. We love you. And we are so happy that you're here and truly, truly humbled. We are at almost 43,000. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. I know it's just a vanity thing, but my ego is involved. And look, 50% of the folks who watch us are not subscribed. We want you to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you know every single time that we go live or drop a new video. All right. Now, why don't we want to go back? So when we give the reasons of why we left the United States, some of the reasons that we've said in the past are actually reasons that we have come to understand since leaving. You only know what you know.
Right.
And so the main reason was, if we don't want to work, we got to lower our cost of living. And so, you don't have to move abroad to lower your cost of living. There's lots of things that we can do. And a lot of the things that I'm thinking of go against rugged individualism and what they sell in America. Keep competing with the Jones, Black excellence, and all of that nonsense that want to keep you tied to these standards that may not serve you. Does that mean that I don't want Black people to be excellent? I want you to be excellent at whatever you want to be excellent at.
Be your best.
But the notion of, of glorifying people who work themselves to death in the white power economic system, I ain't for that. Life is for living, right? So there's lots of ways to make money. And if you don't know, Beyond the Bling, Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence and Late Bloomers, that information is in the description below, or we can coach you on your side hustle. There is lots of ways to make money. So what are some of the reasons that we've come to understand of why we don't want to go back?
Well, the tribe, the friends, the family, the new family that we have, cultivating new relationships.
Hey, Nicole. Hey, Marguerite.
Hey, y'all know who you are. Leading and showing to others, other family members, other folks in the States that there's a way and there is something else and somewhere else to be able to do the things that you want to do
and to live a lovely life.
Live a lovely life, to live your best life.
Yeah.
So a lot of people never realize that moving to Europe or Mexico or anywhere else was a possibility. It was a thing that they could do. And it's not that difficult to do.
It's not that difficult. And we are going to explain in general terms. We have a video that gives you step by step. That's not this video. Okay. That's not this video. We're going to explain in general terms. One of the things is that I didn't even realize, like, I remember when we were choosing Portugal, one of our objective arguments was it's the sixth safest country in the world. Portugal is the sixth safest country in the world. And even places like Mexico, which the United States demonizes, most of those cities, the major cities in Mexico, are safer than the major cities in the United States. Yeah, don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. So I feel safer here. And, I don't think that I realized how unsafe I felt in the United States until I had an opportunity to really feel safe walking by myself late at night in the city. It takes a while, right?
Oh, yeah.
It takes a while for you to realize. And for me, it was kind of an aha moment. Yeah, that was one of the objective reasons, but now I can feel it. I feel what it feels like not to have to worry about, okay, I hear a police car. Here's the police. Okay, is everything cool? Am I acting right? Do I look right? Do I look innocent? And
Right.
all of that stuff that we put on ourselves because we feel unsafe around the so-called peacekeepers. But here, they ain't paying attention. They are not paying attention to me. They're either looking around, looking over my head. They kind of look at me. If I say, boa tarde, they'll boa tarde, boa noite, whatever, bom dia, whatever time of day it is. And that's about it. If you need help, oh, okay, well, we'll help you. Well, if they speak English, they'll give directions in English. I can, trip my way through some Portuguese. Otherwise, they don't care about me. They do not care. And other folks don't care. Like, they care if you need help, but they're not trying to police our actions.
No.
Like, there was an incident here with a Black woman who got beaten by police. It was in one of our groups, and I think this happened within the last 6 or 7 months, something like that, maybe less. She's not dead. And they said this is a George Floyd moment. And I'm not going to take that away from them, but she's not dead. And there's one. When we know there's been one a day in the United States. Or more, right? And I'm just saying, even per capita, it's just it's nowhere close. And so, and the fact that they know about it and it's getting handled, that's a good thing. They don't play with that kind of stuff here. I have not seen that, not in the way the United States does anyway. How they sweep it under the rug, how they make excuses, how there's that blue line that can't be crossed and nobody comes forward. You know what I'm talking about. So I feel safe here. I know that true safety is an illusion. Shit happens everywhere, right? It happens everywhere. But where is it less likely? And where is it less likely because of the color of my skin? That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that you can turn everything off and not pay attention to, where you are, your surroundings or anything like that.
Yeah.
Not saying that at all.
No, definitely. You got anything more to add?
Well, it's one of the things that I always thought is, it makes me feel good not to be looked upon, like accusatory, I guess the word would be, look like a suspect. Like I'm a suspect of something or I'm about to do something.
Right.
Women don't clutch their purses.
Right.
If they see me walking, they don't cross the street, looking nervous and intimidated. Matter of fact, happened to me a couple of days ago. I'm walking down the street to catch the metro and two ladies, one was helping another lady, stop me. I didn't understand where she was saying, but I understood the context that where she was going with it, handed me her keys to her house and asked me to unlock the door so she could help the other lady and I could help the other older lady get up and go in the house. And I didn't realize it at first. And I'm like, some of these locks here,
Sometimes they're kind
you
of
have to
tricky,
really,
kind of,
really work them. And
you know.
then I understood what she was saying, and I worked it and jimmied it, and boom, opened the door, and she was so thankful. But she wasn't clutching and worried, and
You see that, folks?
the
And what does that do to our men's psyche? To always be thought of as a threat when they know the goodness that is in their heart and soul. I'm getting tears in my eyes because it pisses me the hell off,
Yeah.
especially because we still have sons in the United States dealing with the fact that people look at them as a threat.
Yeah.
That's inhumane. It is inhumane. All right. So you got to get out. You've got to get out of the matrix. And we're going to give you 4 questions that you need to ask yourself about why you should move. So ask yourself these questions. Number 1. Go ahead, Rick. I got something in mind.
Do you feel safe in America or your home country?
Do you? Do you truly? If you're in the UK, you probably feel safer. We had quite a few folks from the UK at our meetup this year. And they were like, what do you mean y'all ain't got this? And what do you mean y'all ain't got that? And you do this and you do that. They were like, they had heard rumors of things, right? But then here they are with, 90 other, well, basically Americans. And I say basically because some of the Black folks are American, but they now live in other countries. And they were hearing firsthand our experience of being American, and they were just flabbergasted.
It blew their mind.
So even though, folks from the UK say the UK is hustle and grind and all of that stuff, yes, that's probably where America got it from, but it's not as bad as America by any stretch of the imagination, right? So the second question to ask yourself is, can you reach your financial goals in your home country? Is that even possible in the time frame that you would like it to happen? Is that even possible? Number 3.
Do you believe in the country that your country is serving you well?
Is your country serving you well? If you cannot afford health care, if you are walking around scared, if reproductive health is no longer an affordable option for you in your state, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is your country serving you well? If you are stressed out, the answer is probably no. It's probably no. Do you believe that you can retire in America or your home country when you want to? If you cannot answer yes to all of these questions, you might want to consider leaving America, leaving your home country. All right. Now, how to move. That's what we're going to talk about. You guys know the deal. Put a Q in front of your question or your comment. Teddy's living in North Carolina. Teddy.
Well, there are probably there are cheap places.
Who's the governor of North Carolina? Who are the senators from North Carolina? Isn't that a red state? That's why y'all can live cheaply, because they're not taxing y'all, but somebody is paying those fines, heavy fines. Who's being over policed, right? And I remember driving through South Carolina and North Carolina and seeing billboards with Obama as a witch doctor when they were selling Obamacare, right? That's what I remember about the Carolinas. Gary, you got to put it at the beginning. I just saw questions, so I'm going to go ahead and flag that one. But if you put it at the beginning, Brown Girls Invest too. Hey, I think I saw you on Rashida's channel. Something. How you doing? How you doing? Hey, Rosemary, good to see you. Yeah. Gary Pittman, that sounds like a new name. Okay, CK, I am just going to go through these really, really fast. and star them, but we are going to definitely get to the difference between a digital nomad visa and your traditional temporary or permanent residency visa. All right. Yeah, thank you guys about my mom. She actually is talking and all of that now and can't remember the fact that she fell out. She fell out again, y'all. You know that we went to, Jahari is Swahili. The meaning is precious jewel. See?
Okay.
So Jabari is Swahili as well. Halisi is Swahili. I love it. I hadn't heard it before, didn't remember it in my book because our son might have been named that had I seen it. I love it. Precious jewel. All right. I'm going to try to go all the way to the bottom and see if I can catch all of the questions. So be patient with me. Who else do you see?
No, you got it.
Ronnie Long. That sounds like a new name too.
Yeah,
welcome,
right
welcome,
there.
welcome. Hey, Daniel. Good to
Daniel's-
see you. Haven't seen you in a minute. Stacy Paulin. That looks like a new name. Either that or you just been lurking in the background.
Tanya.
Thrive with Shante. I like that name. ABX Girl, got you. Raquel, TW. And that looks, Halisi, a lot of us live well here. I know you guys do. I know you do. You live well. And if the country that you live in and the state and city that you live in is serving you,
they serve you,
then I ain't got nothing to say. But we told you why we moved, and we told you why it was not serving us. And after this next election, you have alternatives. Because if November goes like that debate went, we in trouble, y'all. We in trouble. And North Carolina may not seem so welcoming anymore. These people have gotten emboldened. And if the election goes the way the debate went, they will be even more emboldened. And that felon who's trying to run for president is things going to change. That's all I'm going to say. Things going to change. He said what he's going to do. He did it the last time. He said what he was going to do the last time, and he did it. If you don't believe that this Project 2025 and changing the term limits to unlimited for the president and all of that other nonsense, perhaps federalizing the elections and all of that stuff, like if you don't believe that he's going to do what he said he's going to do, shame on you.
Yeah, and everybody,
shame on you.
Everybody should be knowledgeable or get knowledge on that 2025 proposal. For real.
For real, though.
For real.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about how to move, and then we will get to the questions. I just wanted to put that on my page. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare a typical residency visa with a digital nomad visa. The digital nomad visa is newer, right? Like most countries did not have a digital nomad visa before the pandemic. The notion of working remotely and all of that, well, that was a specialty. Like I knew a few people who got to work from home that worked for these huge corporations that were headquartered someplace else besides where they lived, and they were able to conduct all business online. But that was not typical for most of us, right? So the first thing that differentiates that we need to think about is the purpose. Mm-hmm. So the purpose of a typical residency visa is work. So either you're going to work for a company that is based in that country, mm-hmm. or you're going there to study. Retirement, that's us.
Mm-hmm. Our family reunification.
Right. So digital nomad visa, what is the purpose?
The digital nomad visa is remote work for foreign employer or freelance.
Right. Yeah. So the thought process is that you are working for someone who's not in the country that you're going to go to, who's, a foreign employer, foreign, not to you, but foreign to the country where you're going to go, or you're a freelancer.
Yeah.
Now, some countries will allow freelancers to go to be passive income people. It depends on how you're doing it. It depends on if you own your own company or not. All right. So employment. For a typical residency visa, local employment is necessary, or enrollment in local institutions if you are employed. But for a digital nomad visa,
It's foreign employers or clients, not local business.
Right. And so in some ways, a digital nomad visa may be easier to acquire. The financial obligation sometimes is higher. It just depends.
Right.
All right. So duration. Your typical residency visa is for a minimum of 1 year all the way to permanent and is renewable. Whereas a digital nomad visa,
short to medium, 6 months to 2 years, extendable.
right. So depending upon the country, it could be as short as 3 to 6 months, maybe a year or two, but usually does not lead to permanent residency. I can't say that absolutely, but the ones that we've checked out, it usually does not lead to permanent residency. All right. So of course that, again, the purpose is different. All right. The requirements for a typical residency visa, the requirements are local job offer, enrollment proof of enrollment in some university or school, right? Financial stability if you are going to go on a retirement visa or a passive income visa, health insurance, they don't want to carry you.
No.
But health insurance is very affordable in most of the rest of the world, y'all. All right. And then sometimes for permanent residency and or citizenship, some kind of language proficiency may be required. But that's not a blanket. So that's hit and miss. Okay. However, for digital nomads,
proof of remote employment or freelance work, minimum income, health insurance, and accommodations proof.
Yeah. So proof that you've got someplace to stay.
Got somewhere to live.
Proof that the money's coming in. They might ask to see contracts. They might ask to see tax returns. They might ask to see check stubs, right? That kind of stuff. For the typical residency visa, they probably are going to need something from your employer. If you are employed locally, right? Maybe you come in because you're a highly qualified person in the, like we do in the United States. So they're going to need proof from your employer that they're actually going to hire you. They're going to need proof of passive income, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So those are the requirement differences.
Right.
And as I said before, usually with a digital nomad visa, the income requirement is a bit higher because with the residency visa, you're going to be making local money if you're going to be hired by somebody here, mm-hmm. right? Or you're retired and you're getting passive income, or you're a student and usually there's no financial requirement if you come to places on a student visa. All right. The rights and benefits, the difference between typical residency visa and a digital nomad visa. Extensive rights. Okay, so for a typical residency visa, there are extensive rights, including healthcare, education, and social services. So for instance, like here in Portugal, once you are a legal resident, you are required to file a tax return and potentially pay taxes. That's one of your rights. But the benefits are that you do have access to the public healthcare system. If you pay into Social Security, then you could eventually rack up enough points or however they do it to eventually get Social Security here. That's not going to be us. We get access to all of the discounts, right? We can get a transportation card, and he can get the discounted card for being of a certain age, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have the right to vote. Only citizens have the right to vote. In Mexico, you don't have the right to even protest.
No.
Okay. If you don't have citizenship. So here, like there was a protest here and people were saying, yeah, we got to come out. And I'm like, is that even legal? Is it even legal? Because I haven't checked because that was my old life and I ain't trying to do that here. But for those who are still in the fight and want to do this and that, check. That kind of stuff is not necessarily legal on a residency visa. And for Americans, that may be hard to understand because anybody can show up at a protest in America and ain't nobody checking, ain't nobody saying papers, please.
Right.
All right. But with a digital nomad visa,
You have limited rights and benefits.
right? So you might not have access to their healthcare system. You might not have access to any discounts, et cetera, because the notion is that you're just here kind of on an extended visit. All right. And why are we bringing up the digital nomad visa? We're bringing it up because if the notion is you want to leave ASAP and your money is not 100% straight, like it costs a lot of money to move.
Mhm.
It costs less money sometimes to just go bop around, right? Like sometimes you can just take your crap, put it in a storage unit if you think you're going to come back and live for $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month, truly bopping around the world, where there's very few places in America that you can live comfortably on $2,000 a month. And then lastly, taxes. So when you get your typical residency visa, their taxes are involved. All right. And so we have an obligation to pay taxes as people who use the services because we live here, right? And then if you have a business or something like that that is based here, or if you are employed here, then it's going to be the typical what we're used to paying those kind of income, earned income taxes as a resident, as opposed to digital nomad visas, which
Designed to avoid tax residency, varies by
country, right? Especially if you are working for, let's just say you're working for a US employer that will allow you to work someplace else. Let's say you decide to get a digital nomad visa for here in Portugal and you plan to stay here for a year. Your employer will probably be obligated to pay Portuguese taxes on your behalf. All right. So right now, you have money coming out of your check federally, and then your employer also chips in towards Social Security, Medicare, and pays, right? I think it's like 9 point something taxes that they have to pay on behalf of each employee. So they become kind of liable because you are kind of living here for a year. So there might be tax obligations as far as that is concerned. But as far as paying taxes like you live here, a lot of times that's not going to be the case as a digital nomad, right? Because you might not even be here long enough for that to be a thing. All right. So we just went over the major differences between a typical residency visa and the digital nomad visa. And I'm not going to recap it. We are going to get to questions, and then we will get to the top 5 residency and digital nomad visas that you can get, the easiest ones you can get, and then we'll show you the case studies. All right. All right, let's start at the top. Hey, Daniel, my main reason for considering moving abroad.
Trump.
Number 45. Number 45. I refuse to live in this country if he is president. People rarely do anything significant based on just one reason. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. But there are implications, right? Him winning have implications. So it's not because you don't like Trump. It's because of the things that you believe he's going to do. Right? And so those are a lot of reasons, right? He might find a way to totally take away the Affordable Care Act, right? He's already put in place a crazy SCOTUS, Supreme Court, which got rid of Roe v. Wade, which said that a lot of the people on January 6th, the insurrectionists, were, that they were charged incorrectly and let them off the hook. And if they don't charge them with something differently, they can't charge them with the same thing because, double whatever.
Double indemnity?
Something like that, right? You can't be charged with the same thing twice. So there are huge implications. The other thing about 45 winning and becoming 47 is that the world will see us differently. Oh, yeah. And the fact that he's a real candidate right now and that he is the candidate for the GOP, the good old party, has made the elections here kind of interesting. So you might have noticed that there was a landslide on the far left in France.
No, it was Not in France.
France.
England. I thought England had it.
England had an interesting
Labor Party.
The Labor Party in England, the left side in France. So yeah, our people keep us posted on the WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp. So yeah, as America slips farther to the right, they know that if 45 gets in, Europe is going to be threatened because he wants to get rid of the North American treaty, right? NATO. So what are we doing? What are we doing? So I don't think that Daniel, I think you're smart. I don't think that is just one reason. I think it's one thing that points to a lot of reasons to move. You can tell just by taste and how you feel after eating the food that the quality here in the US is beep. Yep. Nothing tastes like it did when I was growing up. It's all Frankenfood. It really, truly is.
Yeah.
And y'all know that we did a video on the difference between the food here in Portugal and the EU in general and in the United States. We will put a link in the description. Hopefully I'll remember that. I'll put it either there or I'll put it there. I don't know, someplace. Anyway, so hopefully I'll remember to do that. I guess I better write it down. Can you write that down for me, please, sweetie, somewhere? Look. I'm trying to do too much.
Where you put a link in?
So we got to put a link in for how to get residency or how to move abroad, step by step, and for the food. All right. Thank you, Pinky. Gary Pittman. Greetings. You are my heroes. Thank you. Thank you, Gary. That's so sweet. Whether you know it or not. Question. I'm going to have to leave my spouse. She's part of the system and can't see herself not in it. That's a hard one. That's a hard one. And you're not the only one that we've talked to who have said that. I think we can think about 2 to 3 other people that was the case that we've talked to who are like, look, I'm leaving. You can come with me or you cannot. Maybe she should watch some of our videos, Gary. Would that help? I was part of the system, politically anyway. I was in the fight. And, and when Rick would say, oh, this is stupid, I'm like, you're saying my job is stupid. I was in the fight, giving away so many of my precious hours on this earth to what feels like now a losing cause, but I did my part. So I don't know if her watching us may help, but I know that we have to put on our own mask first. So, like when the plane's going down, they say, put on your mask before you try to help somebody else. And, for me, it's like, if I'm unhappy, if I'm depressed, if I'm unhealthy, I can't be a good wife. I can't be a good mother. I can't be a good employee. I can't be a good entrepreneur, right? I have to take care of me first. And if the other person does not feel like what is necessary for my health and wealth would not serve them as well, then maybe we've grown apart. And, I ain't telling you to get a divorce because I wouldn't wish that on my enemy. For real, though, I would not wish that on my enemy. But I feel for you. I feel for you. There is a mosquito issue there. Is it as bad as Louis? Oh, no.
No.
I'm allergic to CK, and mosquitoes are anywhere there's standing water. Okay. But this is not a tropical country. Maybe it's a little bit more tropical in the Algarve, but up here in Lisbon, this is more like LA, right? Bay Area. So yeah, there's mosquitoes, but it's not like, it's not horrible. And so this is so funny. I sprayed with my shoes on, but they must have it's like my sock came down and started slipping in my shoe. And so that part wasn't sprayed. So it's all around the edge of my shoe where the spray didn't get. And I got and they love me.
Oh,
they love them some Halisi. So I got 8 bites on one foot. And it's all swollen. It's ridiculous.
It's like dinner is served.
Seriously, they didn't touch him. He was sitting right next to me. They did not touch him.
Nope.
Daniel, just for comparison, Porto is 72 degrees basically every day. Daniel, no shade to Lisbon, just saying. It is not basically 72 degrees every day. When we were there in June, it was hotter than Hades.
It was hot.
It was hotter than Hades. Are you kidding me right now? And then it gets cold. It gets cold and rainy and foggy. But not like Denver cold or Chicago cold or anything close to that. Like Bay Area cold, right? Just chilly, maybe a long sleeve t-shirt and a nice jacket cold. But yeah, look, we love Porto, but it's not Lisbon. And so, but every place is not for everybody.
No.
Every place is not for everybody. And I understand that. Thank you, Valerina. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's hard. So this is one of the things that you do have to think about when you move abroad, right? Like I got a call at 7 a.m. Pacific time telling me that the ambulance was on their way. By that time, she was already conscious again and talking, but it was very slurred, right? Now, had I been in LA, obviously I would have just gotten in my car and started driving. Had I been in Denver, it still would have been, let me wait and see. But here it's a major, let me wait and see, right? Because I'm across the world. And so these are some of the things that you have to think about, how you're going to handle that. Can you handle that? And do you have people in your life that you trust to be there on the ground, keep you posted, and do what they're supposed to do the way you would do it, all right? Or at the level of excellence that you would do it. I'll put it that way. How has the cost of living changed since you've moved? I believe the longer people wait to move, the higher cost of living they will face if they don't jump on it now. The Unscheduled Life. I love that name. Sounds like you're new because I don't recognize it, or you've been lurking. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So housing prices.
Yeah, it's changed. Housing prices started going up when we first got here.
Yeah. I mean, they've been going up.
But they've been going up. Yeah.
They've been going up all along. And I mean, obviously they dipped a bit during COVID and then they started going back up again, right? As all major cities do. And that's true everywhere. I know that when we first got here, the plate of the day at most of the mom and pops was about €7.95, so about €8. And now they're about €9 to €10. But the plate of the day usually includes starter or dessert and a drink. I just saw our friend in New York take her husband and son out for some tacos and quesadillas, and it ended up being like $160, $170, including tip.
Yeah.
We went out last night and had live music. I had a drink. You had 2 beers. We didn't have starters. Mm-hmm. No, we didn't have starters, but we both had a meal
and I had a dessert.
And Rick had a dessert, and the whole bill came to €28. So $30, so $15 a piece for Brazilian food. And so the thought of having to pay even 2/3 of that 160 sounds crazy to me. But obviously the longer you wait, prices always do go up. Now, when you move, and for digital nomads, the life for digital nomads is a little bit more expensive than it has to be because they're not settled, and they don't get to the point where, unless you could get to stay for like 2 years, right? But if you just stay a year or less, our rent actually went down. We have another friend who lives closer to the water. Their rent actually went down. So it's interesting to me because the person that we use to help relocate, she said, this is not good rent. This is okay rent, but just wait, it'll go down. And it did. It went down by €300. So I say that to say there is like an expat tax, and that tax is an ignorance tax that you have to pay when you first move. But once you find out where to go to get this, where to go to get that, then you can
Yeah.
find the deals. Like I know if I want good fruits and vegetables at a good price, I don't go to the chain grocery stores. I go to the mom and pops, and I know which ones have what I need. And that just takes a while. So yeah. You might not even have an option this time next year, y'all. I mean, you guys get on that phone, make sure this election does not go crazy, because you've heard what I've said about how politics works and how they can make it hard to move without changing laws. There's a lot that can be done by executive order. There's defunding that can be done just by the Congress, which they control right now. So, y'all, jump on it.
Vote.
As the unscheduled life, and vote. As the unscheduled life said, after reflection, our main reasons for leaving are food supply. Yeah, well, I talked about the food, quality health care, cost of living in retirement, and safety concerns. Yeah, Tracy. Yeah, those are probably ours too. Not necessarily in that order, but yeah. Ours would be cost of living first, safety concerns second, and then food and quality health care, probably vying for third. Can a senior living on Social Security move to Portugal? Yes, we live off of Social Security. And, even when for the first year that we lived here, it's not like we were making money on YouTube or anything. So we were living here on Social Security. So it can be done. However, Ronnie, welcome, welcome, welcome. Watch some of our other videos, because there's other things. One of the things that we did to make sure that we were not asking about food banks, like we've heard some people like,
not necessarily here.
No, we didn't hear about it here, but I wouldn't be surprised, because I did hear some other crazy stuff here. So is we saved up 2 years living expenses, 2 years worth of living expenses. In the United States, they usually say if you are one person, if one person loses their job for a double income household, you need at least 3 months. And if you're single or there's only one income earner, 6 months emergency fund. That's child's play. We said 2 years. And so that's what we have. And so, yeah, we've had to dip into it, not for here, actually. We really had to dip into it for our properties that we own in the States. So, and my mama, who's all up in my pocket. So if you don't have things like that to worry about, it is definitely doable. Is it doable on 1,500 a month, which is the average Social Security? That would be a little bit difficult here in Lisbon, but it's definitely doable in Portugal. Probably not in the city though. Okay. All right, let's undo these. Daniel, again, for those who are moving for primarily financial reasons, what does your disposable income versus your discretionary income picture look like? I understand that retirement money is not income. Investing for some. So passive income can be rental income, right? If you've got rental properties,
yeah.
Especially if they're in the United States, they're not taxed here in Portugal, is my understanding. Okay. Don't bank on that, but that's what I've been told from tax people here. But every tax person is not created equal. So that's what I've been told. So that's not taxed here. Pensions and Social Security, that's also basically considered passive income, because we're not doing anything. We've already done the thing to earn it, right? And dividends or investments and savings, right? And so our income that is not discretionary, we've been through our cost of living. We've done that video, but basically we pay $13.25 a month for rent for a 3-bedroom apartment. Our transportation is $60 a month. Ubers, in my opinion, are disposable income, because 9 times out of 10, there is a bus coming that we can take, unless it's like 3:00 in the morning. Now, whether we choose to want to do that or not is a different story. So that's disposable. Food is hard to gauge, because that just depends on if I'm lazy or if we are lazy or not. Healthcare is $2,000 a year. for the health insurance. It's $2,000 a year. So what is that, like 180 a month, something like that. Our utilities are average between 100 and 150, not including cell phone. The cell phone, we just got a new plan. The cell phone for unlimited for both of us, unlimited everything is 61 euro, so like $65. And that's basically it. So, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a month is plenty of money to live here comfortably, to go out to eat when you want, to go to the concert, to go to the plays, to go to the museums.
Correct.
Right? We're going to Belgium in the
September.
fall, and we're doing a house sit. So, that's one of the ways that we stretch our budget, is that some of our vacations we are watching pets, and I love animals, so that's never too much of a hardship for me. And we get to stay in pretty locations and enjoy the city without paying for accommodations.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. And because we miss our dogs, this is a way that we can do it without having to get our own. Question 2 and 3 are it for me. U.S. does not have my best interest in mind. Oh, the second and third question, I can't remember which ones those were. Okay, so that was, can you reach your money goals in the time frame that you want, and do you believe the country is serving you well? Right? I hear you, Stacy. I hear you. No to all the questions, right? Thrive with Shantae. I'm going to fight YouTube because I wasn't notified of this live as I requested. See how they do? So Thrive with Shantae, you've got to get on our email list, because I sent out a reminder 30 minutes in advance about this live. And YouTube everybody who hits the notification bell does not get a timely notification. So I apologize for that. I don't have anything to do with it. Now, a friend of ours, Stephanie Perry, she has a texting service. I'm looking into that. But if the price is as bad as I thought I remembered it being, that ain't going to happen anytime soon. However, I do send out an email most of the time to give a 30-minute reminder, and I certainly did today. Yeah, I'm sorry, babe. All right, the ABX girl, Governor Roy Cooper is a Democrat, but rents for a 2-bedroom apartment, his rent is $2,500 a month. Roy Cooper, is that of North Carolina?
That's North Carolina.
Also, North Carolina did something good. It seems like I remember Roy Cooper. I think I've met him. Do you think the taxes on retirement income going forward will discourage many of us from moving to Portugal, Raquel? So, Raquel, we are going to do a Move Abroad Summit 2024. A Move to Portugal Summit 2024. You can sign up and get notification of the early bird pricing in the description below. It depends. I was talking to our tax person today, and I was like, look, if we're bringing in, I know some people who have those nice government pensions are bringing in, $5,000 to $7,000 a month. And so anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 a year. And at that income level, the tax rate is almost 40%. And my tax person said, it is in the United States too. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she started breaking it down between city taxes, state taxes. Of course, if you live in a place that doesn't have state taxes, then that's that. And then we are self-employed, basically, right? Because YouTube and the courses that we have, et cetera, are our business. And so there's extra taxes that the business has to pay. So if you are self-employed or own your own business, you're definitely paying about 40% taxes. And so I told her she's got to come and explain that to people, because I don't think that we think about all of the things that we pay for. We just look at the federal tax rate only.
Yeah.
And look at our net income and say, okay, I'm at a 21% tax rate, and then call it a day. And don't think about the fact that there's money being taken out of our check going to the city. There's money being taken out of our check going to the state. Every time you get new tags for your car, that's a tax.
That's a tax.
right? Every time you buy gas, it's taxed. It's like taxed like something like 30%. It's crazy. And that money is supposed to go to keep the roads well.
Yeah.
And you know how that goes, right? You know how that goes. So, so I say that to say, yes, it will discourage some people. If your budget is really, really tight, it may discourage you. But before you get discouraged, you need to do some research, right? Regardless of whether it's Portugal or some other European, any other democratic socialist country that has a strong, strong safety net like Western Europe does, they're going, look, there's a price to get membership to the club, right? You want to belong to the ghetto country club. The price is $20 a month, right? But you want to belong to the country club of Beverly Hills, then you're going to be paying, $200 a month or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So there's always a price to pay, but hopefully you're getting something for it. And for us, it's the peace of mind to know that if, God forbid, someone is in a car accident, they're not going to go bankrupt because some other, butthole was texting on their phone and sideswiped them, right? And so things like that they make a difference. They really, really do. So talk to a tax person, come to our Move to Portugal virtual summit that we are co-hosting with Blacksit Global, right? With Krishan of Blacksit Global. And you can buy the replays if you're moving sooner than later, or if you're thinking about the beginning of next year or something like that, then you want to go to the one in 2024 because there have been a lot of changes. And then we'll offer a discount on the replays for some of the subject matters that we may not be covering, or for things that haven't changed, like a pet passport. If you're moving your pet here, there's a pet passport. And we did a whole segment on that the last summit. And we probably will not repeat that because things have not changed with that. Do you think more people would retire abroad if they made the visa process easier? TW, it really can't get any easier.
Yeah, it's really kind of easy. It's not really, really difficult.
It's tedious, but it is not complex. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now, to get residency in the United States, that's a beast. That's a beast. But to get residency in most other places, you only have to prove a couple of things. You got to prove you got the money. You might need to prove accommodations. You might need to prove that you've got some private healthcare insurance. And that's about it. Maybe an FBI background check. And I say maybe because Mexico did not require that. Mexico basically required why and money. Not that we had to pay them, but that we had the money to live in Mexico without, taking away from Mexican citizens. So that's it. There is no retirement visa for the United States. There is no digital nomad visa for the United States. You either get there as a refugee or you get there because you've got some skill that we want. And that's it. That's it. All right. So we are going to move on and then we'll get to the next set of questions, y'all. I know, let me see. I'm going to leave that up there so I know, so that I know where we left off. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. Here we go. So we talked about why we moved. We talked about why we won't go back. We had 4 questions to ask yourself to see if you should move. We talked about the difference between a residency visa and a digital nomad visa. Now take out your notebooks because we're going to give you the top 5 easiest regular or typical residency visas and then the top 5 digital nomad visas. You will not be surprised by the first one.
Number 1, Mexico.
Mexico.
They just need to prove that you can take care of yourself, that you have financial solvency.
Right. There's a temporary resident.
Temporary and a permanent.
Right. And what's the difference?
Temporary is your time is limited. What is it, a year?
2 years? I think it's 2 years.
2 years for temporary, then you reapply. Permanent is permanent. You get instant permanent residency in Mexico.
And that's what we got.
And you don't have to renew it.
And okay, let me take TW's question off the screen. TW, I did Mexico on my own on the United States side. We got approved with me, and I think had I not been so obsessive compulsive, it probably would have taken me about 3 hours to put together the paperwork. But because I was doing Portugal at the same time, I actually did all of the paperwork for Portugal and then took some of it out and duplicated it for Mexico because Mexico does not require as much as Portugal. But yeah, it was money and why.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That's it, y'all, for Mexico. And like we said, most of the major cities in Mexico are safer than most of the major cities in the United States.
Yes.
Don't let them fool you on that media. So, and then yeah, so we got permanent, temporary. You don't need to reapply per se. You need to renew. And so you go to renew, and if basically nothing's changed and that you still got the money, you kept your nose clean, haven't gotten into trouble, they're going to renew you. I haven't heard of anybody not getting renewed. Have you?
No.
That we're not saying that it doesn't happen, but I've not heard of anybody. Number 2,
Portugal.
Portugal. Look, I didn't create this list. I did not create this list. You would think I created this list, but I did not. Rick did not create this list. This is a list that we found. So these are the so Portugal. It's interesting because they said the golden visa. The golden visa only exists today for not for real estate, just for starting a business. Okay, so that's the golden visa of Portugal today. It's only for starting a business, and there's lots of requirements. You've got to make sure that you can hire a certain amount of people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's how it should have been in the first place. And the real estate thing they should have done differently. But that's my not so humble opinion. The other kind of visa that is the most popular visa is called the D7 visa. All right. That is the passive income visa. A lot of times they will let freelancers and or people who own their own company get a D7 visa, even if you are actively working that company. Why? Because the way it works in the United States, especially with an S Corp, is that we are not making the money. The corporation is making the money, right? And then the corporation, they may pay you a little bit, or you may just take withdrawals, which they consider passive income. All right. So the requirements basically for a D7 visa, very, very quickly. And I'm not, because I know it for Portugal, but I'm not going to know it for all of the countries. All right. So very, very quickly, you're going to need proof of income. You're going to need a FBI background check. You're going to need proof of accommodations. You're going to need health insurance.
Do they still use travel insurance as a?
It's not travel insurance, not travel health insurance. Okay, that's not what you cannot get that for the D7 visa deal. For any visa, it's got to be a type of health. So because travel health insurance is like tragic care insurance, all right? But the health insurance that you get is a little bit more comprehensive than that. We got it 2 years ago. It was 6 months, and that was all that we needed, because then we got the kind that was on the ground here in Portugal. And the one that we got, it operates in all of the EU. There's a certain requirement. You have to have a certain amount that it's going to cover, et cetera, et cetera. It's got to cover COVID, et cetera. But each country is different. And that costs about €350 for 6 months. Very affordable. All right. So that's Portugal. Number 3.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, y'all. So pensionada visa for retirees.
Mm-hmm.
What are those requirements?
Proof of minimum monthly income, a pension,
or Social Security.
Once obtained, it allows the holders to live in Costa Rica indefinitely.
And then rentista visa?
Rentista visa. For those with a stable income or bank account, bank deposit, it requires proof of minimum monthly income for 2 years.
Okay. So you have to prove, if with the rentista visa, you have to prove that you've been making that amount of money, whatever, at least the minimum amount that they require for at least 2 years. So you've got to be ready to provide bank statements or check stubs or something like that, right? And that sounds kind of digital nomad-y to me, but Number 4, Panama. Panama has never come up on our list, y'all. Why? Because I don't like hot, humid. That's why Costa Rica's never come up on our list either, because I don't like hot, humid. So it comes up, it's sometimes in the search, I'm like, nah. So I'll stop doing that. And we did for this one. So Panama is number 4. They too have a pensionata program. So anybody who is of retirement age or on Social Security can get a huge discount. Well, I don't know how huge they are, but I'd say a wide range of discounts in Panama. They are really trying to get folks there. And guess what? They use the dollar, y'all. So you don't even have to think about conversions. There's something to be said for that, because 1,300 euro, sometimes it's $1,400, sometimes it might be $1,450, right? But we transfer so much money at a time here into euros that I don't really feel the ups and downs. But people in Mexico don't have banks in Mexico. They're feeling it. They're feeling those ups and downs. So the pensionata program for retirees with a lifetime pension or annuity that meets the minimum income requirements offers many benefits, including discounts on various services and goods. And of course, they probably will want you to have proof of insurance and accommodations. And then the Friendly Nations visa, available to citizens of countries with professional or economic ties to Panama,
including the U.S.
Including the U.S. It requires economic or professional reasons for moving to Panama, and it grants permanent residency status relatively quickly. So it sounds to me like if you've got a business idea or something like that you want to do in Panama, you can get a quick permanent visa in Panama. So good for them. All right, number 5.
Spain. They have a non-lucrative visa. It requires proof of sufficient financial means to support yourself without working in Spain. They don't want you to come there working or looking for a job.
No, you don't want to work in Spain.
It's initially valid for 1 year and can be renewed every 2 years.
Yeah. And then is there another one?
Spain has a golden visa for significant work investors, including real estate purchases and capital investments.
Okay. All right. So, and the reason why I said you don't want to work in Spain is because they're just like Portugal, their incomes are a lot lower than what we're used to, unless you're working for a big company, global company, right? That has offices all over the world, or maybe you are working for one of the companies that has dealings with the base, any kind of U.S. military base there, but you're working as just as a civilian, then you'll probably be paid closer to what you're used to. But most of these countries, you do not want to go there looking for a job. All right. I'm just marking a couple of these questions here. Michelle, I got you. Divine Chef. I like that name. All right. Now, the top 5 digital nomad visas. Do you want to tell them what number 1 is?
Portugal.
Okay. We did not make up this list, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, we did not. Portugal, number 1. All right. So they are, we do now have a digital nomad visa. So I will get more information on that and put it in the description below. Can you write that down? Because this did not have it. I didn't realize. I thought I saw it on here, but it didn't. But the D7 visa can actually be used as a digital nomad visa. If you are employed as a W-2 employee, you cannot do D7. It has to be D8. But that's totally doable as long as you have a letter from your employer saying that they will allow you to work in Portugal, that you can get a D8 visa. And then the other requirements are the same as a D7. All right, but for the D7 visa, if you are self-employed, like I said before, a lot of times you can use that as proof. And if you're making, at least here, I want to say the digital nomad visa, let's see, here's the thing. The digital nomad visa here requirements are about $4,000 a month, if I remember correctly, whereas the D7 is basically minimum wage, whatever the minimum wage is here. And so that I would say about $1,000 a month for the D7. Yeah, that's it, y'all. Now, can you live here on $1,000 a month? Not really. Not really. All right. Number 2,
Estonia.
Estonia. All right. So that is not, I think that's a new name for us.
Estonia?
Have we put Estonia on any list?
No.
All right. So their digital nomad visa, what are the requirements?
They allow remote workers to stay up to 1 year. It requires proof of employment on or a contract with the company outside of Estonia and a minimum income threshold.
Usually these thresholds for us are pretty low. Okay. And so the digital nomad visa assumes that you are going to be working. Okay. That's the assumption. You're going to be working remotely and traveling around for yourself or for somebody else. All right. And you're going to be bopping around. This is not for people who are trying to get permanent residency. Because as I said, I believe, at least for Portugal, the digital nomad visa does not lead to permanent residency. Okay. Or it didn't before, unless something has changed. And it's changing all the time, which is why we're doing another Move to Portugal Summit. Number 3.
Croatia.
Croatia, y'all. That has been on our list before. They have a digital nomad visa that is available for you to stay for up to 1 year. They require proof of remote work, a monthly minimum income, and health insurance. No local employment is allowed. And so if you want all of the very specifics on these visas, you go to the embassy website or the immigration department's website for that country. You simply Google digital nomad visa Croatia, and don't end up going to a service provider's website, because oftentimes a lot of these service providers, as I've seen, they don't have up-to-date information. They do not always have up-to-date information. Now, when you call them, they'll probably have up-to-date information, but up-to-date information won't necessarily be reflected on their website. So you want to go to the government website, all right, and get that list. That's the list that you want. All right.
Number 4, Mexico.
Mexico.
They have a temporary resident visa.
Yeah. So as we said before, the temporary residency visa can also be used as a digital nomad visa. The other thing is, y'all, for U.S. citizens anyway, we get 6 months upon entry. Like if you can prove why you need to be there for 6 months now. For a while there, they were like, how long you staying?
Yeah.
But, say you rent an Airbnb for 6 months and you're like, look, I've got 6 months worth of accommodations. Lately, we have not been hearing anybody getting refused for that 6-month tourist visa. But if you want to be on the safe side, go ahead and go through the embassy or the consulate and get your temporary residency visa. And the thing about Mexico, unlike some other countries, is you can go to any consulate or embassy that you would like. Well, there's only one embassy, but any consulate office that you would like. And so if you find, and like other countries, every consulate office is not created equal. And sometimes they do what the hell they want to do. So,
yes, they do.
Right. So like Miami might be saying, you need $5,000 a month to come to Mexico. And then Louisiana saying, no, you only need 2,000. And then some obscure place in Texas may say, oh, no, you only need 1,500. So if you call your local one and you don't like what they're saying, call another one.
Check another one.
Call another one. Mexico is easy, y'all. And there's nothing better than Mexican food. Last but not least,
Georgia. And not the one
in Southeast United States of America. We're talking about Georgia in Eastern Europe. So Georgia has beaches, y'all. And I'm thinking, so
there's beautiful places there.
Yeah. And as long as Putin stays put.
And they got a woman president.
That's right. Was it Georgia?
She was kind of upset because she couldn't get a visit to the White House as being president of Georgia. And she was like,
Biden's tripping.
I don't know if it was when Biden was on. Yeah, I
it
think,
it had to be. Yeah.
And it's like, since we've been here. Come on.
Yeah, kind of weird. Is he afraid of what's going on? Who knows? I don't know. I don't even want to get into it. But
I was going to send her an invitation.
We're 99.9% chance we're going to Thailand at the end of the year. And I'm thinking that we might go through Georgia or Turkey. So I want to see both have beaches. I want to see them, y'all. I want to see them. So remotely, you can work from Georgia. This program allows digital nomads to stay for up to 1 year, requires proof of remote work, a minimum monthly income, and health insurance. Okay, so you see, most of them have the same requirements: proof you got money, sometimes proof of accommodations, and proof of health insurance. TW, it's not that complicated. It really, really isn't. The only thing is that a lot of times you're going to go on a website and it's not going to be in your language. So then, go on Chrome and get it translated to English so that you can read it. But it really is not that.
In Google, a lot of times, if you open it up in Google,
Chrome,
it'll translate.
Sometimes, yeah, if you've got it set right, it will automatically translate it. I often try to read the websites in Portuguese so I can practice. And then if it's something that's really, really important that I was like, I have to be able to read it exactly, then I go ahead and hit the translate button. Okay, y'all, what are you guys talking about? I am able to ask a question in Portuguese, Teddy. You see, I'm learning. All right.
What did she say? CK say?
I don't know.
Right
for far right in France, far middle left in UK. No, I just saw something.
No, the right in France, they didn't win the whole election like they were hoping to win.
I don't know what they were hoping to win.
They were hoping to sweep the whole election, and they didn't get it.
But the headline,
the one I read said that they didn't get the whole election.
This is the headline that was on the news. I'm gonna show y'all. French left wins big in snap election. That's what it said. I don't know. That's what it said. So maybe the far right got some more seats, but that's the headline I read. Now, I didn't hear the whole thing. I just looked at everybody else's commentary on what they thought about what they saw, because I was trying to come up with stuff to talk to you guys about. And I'm just going to pay attention to the headlines. I try not to do politics as much as I did before.
Well,
hey, Carmen.
Two of the groups got together in France and took some of their candidates out so they could come together to defeat the far right, from stopping them to winning the whole thing. And it worked.
Okay, good. What is Coimbra, Teddy? I don't know what that is. Okay, Nanette, I'm going to do one more and then we will get to these questions before we go on and bring the case studies. So what is coming up next? We've already talked about why we moved. We talked about why we're staying or why we don't ever want to go back, right? We talked about 4 questions that you should ask yourself to see if you really need to get the heck out your home country. We talked about the difference between a digital nomad and a residency visa. We gave you the top 5 digital and residency visas, digital nomad visas, residency visas. Now we're going to talk about the money, because it always comes down to the money. And we told you the reason why we left the United States, the number one reason why we left the United States is we did not want to continue to have to work so hard. We just did not. And so the only way, because we're late bloomers, because we didn't have our financial stuff together as early as we should have, the only way we were going to be able to retire on time and early was to leave the United States. And thankfully, we already kind of wanted to leave anyway. But what became a 2025 move moved up to 2022. Y'all know that we were saving 65% of our income in order to make that happen. And so when Rick said, I don't want to be here for the next election, he meant the midterms. I don't want to be here during the next election. I was like, well, shoot, let's get out now then. And so we had to figure out how we could do that without, if you're considering Mexico, don't forget that the numbers for financial solvency are expected to go up at least 20% in January, Adelia says. Don't wait, y'all. Don't wait. And here's the thing about Mexico. You do not have to remain in country. So if you qualify now for temporary, go ahead and get it now and then come back home. Just get it. That way, if the move is after January, you don't have to worry about that. You know, just as the other person was saying, I can't remember who, was saying, you know, if we wait, things are just going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, things are just going to continue to go up. So, all right, Jazzy D. Was it Daniel who said that? Okay. So yeah. And I have to say the requirements, even, hey Ron, good to see you.
Hey, Ron.
The requirements from when we got permanent residency to what they are today have changed dramatically. All right. And so yeah, the digital nomad visa, y'all, is for people who want to bop around. It was never meant to be for someone who wanted to stay someplace indefinitely. Like, excuse me, I cannot say that Rick and I are going to be here forever. I don't know. In our minds, we're thinking we're going to be here forever. So that's why we consider ourselves more immigrants than expats. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this world. I don't know. So digital nomad visa, you want to bop around. You want to be here for a year, there for a year, here for a year, or here for 3 months, there for 6 months, there for a year, you know, and not have to get caught up in the tax system, right? Whereas a temporary residency, and your typical permanent residency, the idea is that you are planning to go there to live. Putin doesn't run Georgia. Putin runs Russia. Now, that may be semantics, but no, they tried to do something a while back and got slapped back.
Yeah, he hasn't went into Russia.
A lot
of Russian people are moving
to Georgia.
Students and stuff.
So yeah, he got slapped back. I meant to just star that, but I might as well. I'm going to talk to my financial advisor tomorrow and see if he can't get me there by next year. Allison, no one should know your money better than you know your money. Okay, so I'm not against financial advisors, but make sure that they are actually making you money and not making you money to pay their fees. So sometimes, like, okay, for instance, like our goal is that every company that we invest in, every index fund that we invest in, I want a 15% growth rate. Now, this financial advisor may be promising you that he's going to beat the market. No one really ever does. And then, but it may look like he is here and there, or she. What fees are they charging you for the pleasure of handling your money? That's what I would want to know. But either way it goes, you will not know if they are doing a good job if you don't understand what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. So no one should know your money better than you know your money. And so, yeah, but if you want to get here, you find a way to get here. Increase your savings rate. Anybody who is a late bloomer like we were need to be saving 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70% of their income. Find a way to do it. Sacrifice today for your dream life tomorrow. As I said, we were saving 65% of our income, and it really made us realize how much money we were wasting. Okay, so we answered that, and that was to tell me where we had left off. Minx C, have you run into any issues with assessing Social Security or 401k withdrawals? So we're not tapping into any of our retirement accounts. So no, and I'm not. Well, I guess I'm old enough now. Yeah, I'm old enough now to start tapping into it without getting the fees. But we don't need it, and so we are just letting it grow. I'm in there in our my rollover IRA, and I'm selling some things and buying some things, and it's growing with deferred taxes. So I'm happy about that. We still have American banks, and if you are American, I would suggest that you keep your American bank for now. Keep it. I have heard of issues from people that I don't know, but people who write us, that they have had issues in some countries because the Social Security office was depositing their check into that country's bank. And they were having some issues and had been cut off. So, they deposit it into our American bank, and then we worry about doing the transfers when we need to. So the answer to that for us is no. Michelle, living well in any state in the U.S. won't mean anything under number 45. Dictatorship, wealthy people have lost fortunes under dictators. That part. Y'all. For those, there's a lot of new folks in the audience tonight. We've said it when we're talking about tyranny, right? Did the people of Russia realize in 1991, that's within all of our lifetimes, in 1991, that they were voting for the last president that they would ever know, the last real election that they would see in their adult lifetime? Did they know that? Y'all, this is serious. We have to vote, and we have to drag every single family member and vote for democracy, vote for freedom. Do not vote for dictatorships. All right. Number 45, the convicted felon has already said what he wants to do. He likes how Putin's doing things. He likes that they don't have real elections. He wants to do the same thing. He said that.
And he wants to stay out of jail.
And the Supreme Court just helped him. All right. The Supreme Court just helped him. So yeah, think about the folks who were in Nazi Germany. How much money and stuff did they lose? Talk about dictatorships and crazy empire building crap. The Japanese in America, how much wealth did they lose during World War II because people were paranoid and thought that anybody who was Japanese must be on their side, right? And no thought that some of them have been in the United States for generations. It's just crazy. So you're absolutely right, Michelle. Absolutely right. 2025, that project 2025 is no joke. Have a plan in place. I used to keep a go bag. We used to keep a go bag. We used to keep thousands of dollars in a safe in our house. Our passports were there, a bag packed ready to go, because things happen in cycles. And what I saw was a country starting to lose its ever-loving mind. It's not like it had been sane from the beginning. It was built on some nonsense. It was built by people who were the dregs of society. Those founding fathers were not the aristocrats and the people who were doing great things in Britain. No, they weren't, right? They were people who were outcasts. Australia, America were basically the prisons of Britain. Those are the people that founded those two countries. And so when you build upon a rocky foundation and you never put the support system to really stabilize that foundation, it's going to tumble. The question is when. How much did the costs of the logistics of moving, visa application, immigration, lawyers, moving expenses, et cetera, weigh in making the decision to move? We had already put aside $40,000 for the move. Okay, no joke, 40,000. Now, understanding that we were going to be going back and forth a couple of times because we had rental properties, and so did we use all of that? No. Did we use half of that? Probably. But that includes the scouting trip, and that includes the getting our residency in Mexico as well. And then it probably lasted us. We moved officially. We started paying rent officially August 2022. And I think that lasted us until the spring of 2023. So, but no, I mean, once we decided to take a chunk of our savings towards this goal, knowing that our future living expenses were going to be so much lower, it was a no-brainer. And we get to live in Europe, really? No-brainer. Hey, Bridget.
I turned 50 this next election,
On
on election day, and she's asking for a huge birthday wish for democracy. I wish for democracy too.
Yeah, we definitely wish for democracy. Bridget, seriously. Hey, Kay, have you heard of any big changes coming for the D7 in 2025? Not yet. No, we have not. We have not. And there probably won't be for the D7 in particular. The changes come with the other stuff, right? Like there might be some changes in the way things are done. SEF doesn't exist anymore. And so their new immigration department does things differently than what we experienced. And so that did not exist. It was not running. The AIMA was not running when we had the last Move to Portugal virtual summit. It's been running now for about 10 months or so. Well, no, by the time we have the next summit, about 10 months. And so though we will talk about those changes, and we will have the experts in to talk about all of those changes and how the system works differently. The requirements haven't changed, but the process has changed a bit. And I think they're opening up some other consulates too, so that's good. Michelle, some of these visas are a shell game, a scheme to collect fees. However, the visa holder has no real path to residency or citizenship. For a digital nomad visa, it's not a scheme to collect fees necessarily, Michelle, because the fees are very low. I mean, the fees that we paid both on this side and on the other side don't even equal $500 for the two of us. So that's not a lot. And that's after getting approved. Had we not gotten approved, they wouldn't have gotten the majority of that. Right. The majority of that came for getting our green cards. So what they want is for you to live there and spend money. That's what they want. That's why they're doing digital nomad visas. They want you renting apartments. They want you buying food, going out, doing the stuff, doing the tourist stuff, and then doing some just, normal people stuff like museums and whatnot. Mm-hmm. That's what they want. They want your expendable cash. That's why these countries are offering that digital nomad visa. And no, it is not a real path to residency or citizenship. But as you'll see in the case studies that we're going to talk about next, it could be your path to residency and citizenship if money is holding you up. If money is the thing that you don't qualify monetarily, financially yet, getting to a lower cost of living, which you could possibly do with a digital nomad visa, will help that. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So let's quickly answer these questions because we're coming up on 2 hours. Hey, Yakota, I just heard the NHR visa is coming back, but okay. So the NHR is not a visa.
Yeah, you're talking about the golden visa.
It's coming back, but may exclude real estate option and will be focused on high income earners. Okay, so you're mixing a lot of stuff, Yakota baby. You're mixing up a lot of stuff.
The only thing I've heard on the NHR is for those that missed the deadline to sign up for the NHR, a court ruling came out and said that they still have a right to apply for the NHR. It's not because at first they were saying, well, no, if you miss that deadline, you won't, you're not a tax resident.
Okay. So the NHR is the non-habitual residency tax scheme program. Okay. Before it included a lot of stuff. Like we have friends who moved here, during the pandemic and before, they have this much tax on their pensions.
0.
We didn't move here early enough to get that. The NHR right now is only for high skilled workers. To me, when I read it, when I glanced through it, it basically STEM like they would do in the United States. So science, technology, et cetera, right? So they've got a list of the folks who will qualify for the NHR tax scheme. you cannot even think about the NHR tax scheme until you become a resident. All right. And so there are about 7 or 8 different residencies for Portugal. We've gone over that in another video. But today we were talking about the D7 and the digital nomad visa, and we mentioned the D8 visa. All right. The visas are what qualifies you to come here and become a resident, whether it is temporary or temporary leading to permanent. The digital is temporary, period. The D7 and the D8 and the student visa, I believe as well, can lead to permanent residency and future citizenship. Okay, so those are 2 different things. The golden visa, as it exists today, is only for folks who are going to come here and start a business and things like that. Real estate is no longer included. Okay, so on the one hand, NHR is just about taxes and does not apply to anybody who's not a resident. And then you have a visa, which gives you the right to live someplace or to stay someplace for a certain amount of time. All right, 2 different things. I know it can seem confusing, but especially for those who haven't moved, but it's not. Once you understand, it's simple. Have you heard of Safety Wings and digital nomad new digital nomad passport? If so, do you think that would be worth purchasing? So we had Safety Wing while we were traveling.
As our travel insurance.
And they've got different packages. So we liked it was fine. It was fine. And we didn't really need to use it. But I would just check to see, health coverage works a lot differently outside of the United States. So read it and just make sure that what you are expecting, you're going to get. There's a lot of folks who use Safety Wing, and it's relatively inexpensive outside of the United States, relatively. It's not as inexpensive as what we're paying now. Well, actually, maybe, but it didn't cover as much. All right. Janita Cherry, new name. Welcome. What if you are retired? Is there a minimum income range for Portugal? Yes, minimum wage. So we're here as retirees on the D7 visa, and it's Portuguese minimum wage, which is about $1,000 a month. That's the minimum income that you need to have. I would have more than that. But yeah, that's what the paperwork says anyway. Now, what they're doing in practice may be different. Has anyone here experienced any issues with renewing a U.S. passport once you've moved abroad? It's quicker here.
It's faster.
Yeah, here it's faster. You just go to the embassy. Because we live in the capital of the country, the embassy is right down the street. Well, down the street. And we have heard of people getting in a couple of weeks. So they have less to process. So you just streamline. Are elders uninsurable by private insurance at a specific age? Potentially,
but you could probably get insured, but maybe not for as much.
Right.
Because you can find insurance, but it might not insurance. There might be limitations to it.
So, and every country is different, but here in Portugal, we use Serenity Healthcare Concierge Service to help us navigate this system, which is very, very different than the way it works in the United States. And so the insurance companies that they suggest cost a little more than you hear some of these people on here. Oh, I got insurance for $25 a month. Well, what did you really get? And then how old are you? Are you only 30, right? Or are you 60, right? With a bad knee. So, so those are some of the differences. But the one thing is that they will allow older people on the insurance. And so that's why Serenity suggests those, and that's what ours are. Now, what we have found out is that you do need to prove that you've had continuous coverage for 5 years in order to get the best rates and to make sure any pre-existing are covered. Okay. Mm-hmm. They want to make sure that you're not coming with something that has been exacerbated because you haven't been treating it. And now you want them to pay to treat it. Okay. So you have to prove that you've been covered, and everything that we were provided, because, we're of a certain age too. Yeah, we were covered with no issues. Project 2025 protesters will be imprisoned and deported regardless of your citizenship status. See, that's what they say in Project 2025. Yes. Yes. You are not allowed to protest. So basically, freedom of speech is being taken away. Second Amendment won't be taken away, but freedom of speech is going to be taken away. Did the Russians in 1991 realize they were really electing someone who was going to eliminate the rest of their free elections? Did they realize that was the last real election that they would have? Did they? I don't want that to be us. So the digital nomad visa, my understanding when it came out, the digital nomad visa will not lead to citizenship. You need to, if you come here on a digital nomad visa, live at a lower cost of living, save your money so that you can qualify for a D7 or a D8. Those are the ones that will lead to permanent residency and or citizenship. Okay. But the D7 created for that. It was created for folks who wanted to stay longer than a tourist visa, but less than 2 years. Right. As a Black man, Niasia and Cliff Mega, I'm sure I'm not saying your name right, Niasia. I'm sorry, baby. As a Black man.
Or Niasia?
Could be Niasia. Okay, we're not going to trip.
Okay.
Let us know how to pronounce it. As a Black man, was hard to take the leap of faith. My husband finds it hard to leave, but is still willing. See, that's why the other gentleman who said his wife, usually it is the men who are risk averse. He wants me to move with the children first. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Right? Like, what is he afraid of? What is the fear? What is the thing? Because you can always move back. You can always get another
you're not renouncing your
crappy job or a good job that stresses you out, whatever. You can, we're not renouncing citizenship. We're not renouncing because our kids live there, and we do not want to have to ask for permission to visit our kids. Adelia said that once, and I was like, oh, that part. Yeah, I don't want to have to ask for permission to visit my kids. So we will never renounce citizenship, at least as long as we have family there. Hi, Halisi and Rick. Hey, Samantha. It's been a blissful 1 year and 3 months here in Lisbon.
Wow.
Yeah. As of yet, we have not ventured out to connect it with other American expats. Where should we start our journey? Samantha, Facebook groups is one where I don't know if you're Black or not, because it's just flowers. So I'm going to give Heather a shout out for Black in Portugal, because that's where we met our first group of friends. There's WhatsApp groups. Okay. So once you are here, you run into another American who lives here, ask them about the WhatsApp groups. I don't want to say them on air, but there are about 3 or 4 WhatsApp groups that a lot of people belong to, and we help each other out. Where's the barber? Where can I find this? And then news like, that I showed you guys about France. All of that is being discussed in the WhatsApp groups, as well as, we're all like, there's a men's WhatsApp group through Black in Portugal. And where'd you guys went to a movie and a dinner. They went to see Bad Boys.
We went to see Bad Boys, new Bad Boy movies, and then we went to dinner.
Yeah. So see, it's things like that. And while, we are still endeavoring to make Portuguese friends, especially ones that can speak English, it is nice to have a little taste of home, because we do have certain expectations, and it just helps for a smoother landing and to find the things that you need, your hair care products, etc. Right? Can I find some Crest toothpaste? No. But you can find Colgate all day long, right? Things like that. So yeah, Samantha, if you want to send us an email, hello@Our Black Utopia, I can give you more information. Let me know if you are Black or not, and then I can help you with what is available. Can you use income from a property rental to qualify for D7? Yes, you can, and still work your remote work from Portugal. Yeah, if you have enough rental property income to qualify for the D7, you don't need to mention your remote work. That doesn't even need to come up. That's irrelevant. You here on a passive, you got enough passive income, and you doing a little something something on the side. That's irrelevant. All right. And so yes, absolutely. And we do know people who have done that. Research Project 2025, created by the Heritage Foundation. Number 45, it's on his 45 as part of his agenda. All right. That's all you need to know. Hey, Greta, France's
Greta.
media said the far right would win. However, the French people showed up and showed out. The left won big. We have to do the same thing in America. Vote blue down the ticket. Yeah, and then fight to make the Democratic Party live up to what they say they are, because they're not living up. Jasmine Crockett is, but and a few others. But as a whole, I'm sorry. No, they're not living up. But at least they're not trying to destroy democracy. Jeez. Perhaps an extended vacation in Lisboa could be persuasive. Yes. Yes. To the folks who have spouses that are reluctant, is there a possibility for you to take a 3-week to 1.5 month vacation and live in the place? Rent an Airbnb, VRBO, whatever, right? And stay in an apartment, go to the grocery store, go to the pharmacy, get your stuff, bake the food, get your hair cut, get your nails did, you right, all that stuff, and see what it feels like.
You got a whole 90 days that you can do that. A whole 90 days.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the right in France. So we just answered that question, Petria. I think the polls were wrong. Both. I think I heard that the polls were wrong in the UK as well. Who told me that? I don't know. I heard the polls were wrong. So, yeah, some of our British friends said that the people who were duped and voted far right and Brexit and all of that, they weren't duped. They just didn't do their homework. All they had to do was do their homework. We knew. So how y'all not know? And we across the pond, right? But in any event, okay, we'll be nice and say they were duped. They finally got a clue, and now they're voting the opposite way. So the polls were wrong. So Love Park Connection, hey there, baby.
Hey.
Same here, Gary. Even though hubby is willing to move, he feels obligated to stay in the States to take care of his father. So I will be moving first and getting everything ready.
Come on over, Love Park. You know you're in good hands.
The notion of next week we'll be talking about we've talked about the cost of being a caretaker before. We're going to talk about it a little bit again next week with some other information, but it's high. The cost is high. And yeah, we do feel obligated. My obligation means that at certain hours every day, I'm dealing with the states. I'm dealing with California. I just know that. All right. I'm dealing with the bureaucracy. I'm renewing, Medicaid or whatever, and doing all of this stuff. And it's a little bit tedious, but it's better than me trying to take care of them every single day and driving myself crazy and having my hair fall out. Paul Washington, your thoughts? Do you think if the felon gets in office, his administration would make it difficult for Americans who are living abroad currently or trying to get out in the future? I'm not too sure. The only thing that they could really do to folks who are already living abroad is change the laws and say no more tax treaties. So we're being double taxed. In which case, renouncement would be a thought. I'm not going to be double taxed. So, and we would never live in a country that didn't have a tax treaty with the United States. So, because we don't want to be double taxed. So that about trying to get out in the future, yes, absolutely. Without even changing the laws, all they have to do is do an executive order to start defunding and or moving money from one part of the department to the other. So in other words, For immigration, if part of the immigration department is the part that also takes care of passports, they can say less money to the passport part of that division,
and it slows it down,
and more money to the border, right? And so now what used to take a month to happen is now taking a year, right? Yeah. That's how they can do it. He can also just whisper in the ear of the embassies and say, you know what? Can you just cut down the amount of visas that you are offering or that you will approve to 10% of what you're approving today? Whisper, whisper in the back room. I'm not making this stuff up. This stuff is already happening in other countries. This is already happening in other countries. So if it can happen in other countries, it can happen in the United States. And because I understand how our branches of government work, I understand how they can make that happen. All right. And they would never have to pass a law. They would never have to get approval from the Senate nor the Congress to be able to do stuff like that. So to change the budget, they have to get approval from Congress, right? Congress. So they hold the purse strings, but you just move money around within the budget that you already have. That's all they have to do. That's all that the executive branch would have to do. Raquel flying free. They are celebrating into the night now in Paris. Yes. Do you pay a lot of taxes if you apply for a retirement visa? It all depends. It depends on how much income, just like it. Oops, I hope I didn't. I think I just unclicked somebody whose question I hadn't answered. If your question does not get answered, please put it in there again. Obviously, if you bring in 25,000 in Social Security, you're probably not going to really be taxed, because the write-offs, et cetera, et cetera. If you're bringing in 80,000 in retirement income, you're going to pay some taxes. And so what that is just depends upon your write-offs and how that money is coming in and everything else. So I'm starting to fall in love with the stone houses in Portugal. They are not in cities though. Yeah, no, they're not. No. Well, there might be some in like Coimbra or Porto. Very few here because they had the earthquake here, right? We did see them in Évora, Óbidos, etc. Has Portugal experienced any anti-tourism sentiment? It's an issue in Barcelona right now, for example. Yeah, we saw that. No, and I think because this is what I don't understand about Barcelona. It's not like the tourists are all over the whole city. When we were there, both times, the majority of the tourists are in the old medieval part of the town, which is by the ocean or the bay or the sea, Mediterranean. Yeah. And in the beach areas. When you get into the city part, the city proper, where the downtown and all of that, I don't remember, because we walked a lot the first time we went to Barcelona. I don't remember seeing a lot of tourists. So I'm not really sure what's really going on. I don't know, but no, there are a lot of businesses here that would not exist without tourism. And most of them are down there by the river. They would have, if the tourists went away, they would have to lower their prices substantially. And if the rents are still high and they have to lower their prices because only locals are coming to those places, they'll go out of business because they won't be able to afford the rent.
Yeah, locals aren't going to be going down there paying high prices.
They're not. And we don't. Once in a while, somebody will drag me down there. Has Portugal experienced? Okay, I just answered that. Richard Rowe, do you guys have scooters or a car?
No.
These people drive crazy, Richard. They drive crazy. We had this notion that we were going to get a scooter, a motor scooter, not one of those little scooters that you stand up on, right? Or moped, right? But when we got here and we had a really bad accident the first weekend that we were here, we rethought all of that stuff. We like, shoot. And looking at these Uber Eats people on these scooters and stuff like that, running, going in. No.
See, they don't have a lot of stop signs here.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
So, when You come to a place that might be, I don't even know, do they even have four-way stops?
You probably do
You know,
somewhere.
usually the person on the right has a right of way, but they have roundabouts and
Not a
different
roundabout.
things like that. And slowing down or stopping is more of a suggestion than a rule.
Yeah, except for at a red light,
Yeah, at a
obviously.
red light.
Yeah, yeah,
Other than that, it's like, oh my gosh. And I haven't seen a lot of speed limit signs either.
yeah. I don't see a lot of speed limit signs. I almost thought that they didn't have them, and then I saw one. I think I answered this, Nanette, so I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah, you
unstar
did.
that. Okay, ABX girl, Raquel left wing one big. Yeah, and my pen is quiet. No TV speeches yet. That's what I'm saying. They can raise the price of passports and screw with visa requirements, right? Exactly. Exactly. You may have shared on a previous video. Do you own a vehicle? No, we don't. Like I said, these people drive crazy. Plus, we don't want to pay the money, right? One of the reasons why our cost of living is so much lower, think about it, y'all. So we only had one car payment when we left, and I think we only owed like $1,200 or something on your car when we sold it. But that car payment was 300 and something. And my car was paid off, but then the car insurance was 200 and something, right? So $500 to $600 a month, 6,000 to $8,000 a year just to have a vehicle that sat in the driveway or the garage 80% of the time, or sat in the parking lot at your job, right? Like it doesn't make sense. So we take public transportation here, and then we take Ubers when it's really late or we're really tired or we've got a lot of crap. Is anyone concerned about the impact Portugal's full taxation on retirement income starting this year if you weren't grandfathered into the old tax system? I think what everyone should do, besides come to the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit in November 2024, is to talk to a tax person here. We talked to a tax person here before we moved to get an understanding of what we could expect. We've learned a lot more since, but that's for our tax situation. Krishan at Blacks at Global talked to a tax person before she even moved to understand what she could possibly be looking at. So these are the things that you definitely do need to consider when you're considering a move abroad. We do have a move abroad toolkit. It is in the description below, and it has a checklist of all of these things that you need to think about, ask about, research, et cetera, so that you don't leave any stone unturned, okay? That's right. I'm reclaiming my time. I need a never going to work again plan. Yes, you do. Reclaim your time. People are like, don't you get bored? What do you do all day? Whatever the hell I want to do. That's what. That's what. That's what we do. Whatever we want to do, except for when we have to be on air with you guys saying hey and sharing our information and answering comments, whatever we want to do. Yes, retirement money is income in Portugal for newcomers 2024 and beyond. Yes, retirement money was always income. It was always income, even under the old NHR tax scheme. It was always income. It's just being taxed differently now. Again, everyone's situation is different. Do not assume that you're going to be in some 40% tax rate or something like that. Do not assume that. Do your homework before you write it off. Do you normally use WhatsApp instead of texting? Yes, we use WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp because we can do free phone calls back home. We can do free video calls back home. Of course, on Wi-Fi, we can do the same, but it's a lot easier on WhatsApp. Plus, it is, what do you call it when it's scrambled?
Oh, scrambled.
No, there's a technical name for it. I can't remember what it is. How much does inheritance tax factor into moving abroad for people with children? I have no idea, TW. We're not tax people. And I don't even know if they have an inheritance tax here. And if you are a tax resident of Portugal, I'm not sure how that affects what's going on in the United States. We have our business is based in the United States. So we have a tax person in the United States. There's certain things that they don't have rules for here. So if they don't have a rule here but you're under Portuguese jurisdiction, for instance, or Panama or Costa Rica or any of these other places, you have to check and see what their treaty says. But in Portugal, if the rule does not exist, then they will treat it as America would treat it. Okay. So I have no idea. You need to talk to a tax person here, and you need to talk to your tax person at home. If your tax person at home does not know about expat taxes, have them talk to Katrina. Her information is in the Move to Portugal Summit. She was one of the speakers, and she will train tax people on how to do taxes for folks who are no longer living in the United States. Okay. Michelle, I love Halisi and Rick's email opener. I have no dreams. Please unsubscribe me. Look, I ain't trying to pay for somebody who don't want my emails. Then the taxes are even more than what when you factor in healthcare, tuition, and all other things, they are provided by the government as done in Europe. Right? Exactly. Y'all need to think. Thank you. Y'all need to think about all of those things. We have a friend who is here on a student visa. She's getting a master's degree in English. Not the subject matter is not English, but she's being taught in English, and she's paying $1,500 a year, if I remember correctly, a year for 2 semesters. So $750 per semester, something like that. Private. Y'all. Healthcare. You've got to think about that, right? How much, I know how much Cobra used to cost, right? Some people are paying what I remember Cobra costing, and that's under ACA, and they're paying, $700 per person per month, like $1,500 a couple per month for their healthcare, right? We pay $180. So yeah, you do need to factor in all of that other stuff. If you're on a very, very limited income, I understand why you're asking those questions, right? But okay, we got to fly because we're at 2 hours and we still have to give you the case study. Social Security website. Yes. See. All right. Is it part-time abroad? Is part-time abroad possible? For example, 180 days. Yes, it is. Yeah. So digital nomad visas are one way to go. Here, if you have a temporary residency, you have to be here at least 6 months and a day, or 8 months out of 2 years. And then once you get renewed, it's 8 months out of 3 years. So it's either 6 months and a day consecutively or 8 months over the 2-year period. Okay. What dates for the 2024 for your Portugal Summit? Is going to be the first weekend in November. And there is a link to sign up for the wait list. And the people who sign up will be the first ones notified for the early bird pricing. And this year, Krishan and I decided we're not going to do early bird pricing like from, the end of July until September. It's going to be a certain amount of tickets only. And once they're sold out, they're gone. And then it will go back to the regular price. The platform that we do it on, y'all, is not cheap. It's like $3,000 a year. It ain't no joke. And we only do it once a year. So that's why we have to do that. Hi, dear hearts. Hey, Jess. I really appreciate your drone footage. Can you do more of Lisbon residential areas?
Who, me?
Yeah, you with the side. You got another side hustle?
Yeah, I could.
In some places, Jess. In some places it's not allowed.
Yeah, some places might be under military jurisdiction. Areas,
or in the flight path,
of the airport. So
yeah,
like I couldn't go to Saldana in places and fly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then north of Parque das Nações, you weren't able to, close to the Vasco da Gama bridge.
Yeah, further down along the bridge. It's just different places. Yeah. That I can't fly.
Yeah. So if I purchase a house or multi-house residence, can my family list my property as their residence on a visa application, or do they require separate leases, apartments? No, they can rent a room. As long as you have a lease for that room, that could be the accommodation. And the assumption is the room plus, the kitchen. Common areas, right? Thank you, baby. But yeah, you can do it. It can be a room. All right. Do you need to be in Mexico to apply for residency? You have to apply outside of Mexico. I'm sure Adelia probably answered this in the text, in the chat. But yeah, you have to be outside of Mexico. You don't necessarily have to be in your home country like you do for Portugal, but you do have to be outside of Mexico. And then you go to Mexico within 6 months and get your green card. They don't take your visa; it stays in your passport. But basically, they stamp your visa or whatever, and then they give you that green card. Fill out some paperwork, get your fingerprints, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, they stamp your visa at the airport when you come in.
That's right. Thank you, sweetie. Is the D7 visa for retirees? The D7 visa is for passive income people. So money that you are not trading your time for, rental, dividends, pension, Social Security, etc. You wrote a book and you're getting residual income. You did a movie and you're getting residual income. That's passive income. All right. It's very interesting tale of two cities we are living in now. People fighting to get into the U.S., right? Meanwhile, U.S. residents are like, get me out. You all would not like between. I cannot tell you how many people here. Oh, you're from the United States. Oh, you're from LA. Well, we moved from Denver, but we're both from Southern California, via Ohio, but Southern California. We grew up and as adults in Southern California, as kids and adults. So, you're from LA. Oh my gosh, I always wanted to see LA, Hollywood, the Hollywood sign. I want to see Manhattan. It's like, yeah, nice to visit, but you don't want to live there. And I said, and it's very dangerous, right? Especially compared to here. People here would, they don't know how to put their head on a swivel. They do not know how to put their head on a swivel.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to these case studies and then we'll answer the last of those questions and we'll let you guys go. We do not want to do a 3-hour marathon, but I knew we were packing a lot of information into this. So let me pull it up so we can see it. All right, here we go. We're going to give you 3 scenarios. We want you, if the country you live in is not serving you and you want to get out ASAP, we're going to give you 3 different scenarios of different financial situations and talk about how they could still get out ASAP with that financial situation. All right. So, if you saw House Rich, Cash Poor, this scenario has been changed a little bit, but it's basically the same. But we're talking about it just in terms, not staying in the United States, just in terms of moving abroad. All right. So we're calling this person Helen House Equity.
Can we take that subscribe off? I don't know if they can
see okay. Hold on 1 sec. You guys, I'm going to take, there we go. All right. Get back to comments. All right. So we call this Helen House Equity. You might want to go to full screen. All right. So she's single.
She's single, 57.
57 years old. And the reason why we made her 57, that means she's still too young to tap into her retirement accounts without penalty. And we're going to assume that she hasn't been moving some of that money over, doing some kind of IRA ladder or something like that. All right. So she's got 150,000 invested, and all of that money is in her pre-tax account and not available for years. She has less than $2,000 cash, y'all. Less than $2,000 cash. So she is living paycheck to paycheck. She wants to quit. She owns a home and has over 1 million in equity. And if you live in Chicago, Atlanta, New York, LA, the Bay Area of California, and some other cities, to have 1 million in equity in your home is not that hard to do, especially if you've had it for 20 years. All right. So she is house rich, cash poor. What can she do? All right. So if she keeps the real estate, then our suggestion is,
if you keep the real estate, downsize to a duplex.
All right. So, and the reason why we're saying that is because she needs some cash flow. She needs some income. And if she, especially for folks who want to keep a foot in the United States because, they're a little unsure or whatever, right? We still own 2 properties. That's a tie that we might be selling. Let's just see how the country goes. However, for folks who feel comfortable with that, downsize to a duplex.
Okay.
So she would use 500,000 of the equity in her home because she sold it, right? And buy the duplex outright. Now, when we did this, I checked on realtor.com and found lots and lots of duplexes in the Dallas area for 500,000 or less. Nice duplexes in nice neighborhoods, in the neighborhood like my family lives in. Okay. So I know they exist. Now, if she lives there for a while she's getting ready to move, then she can let the other unit pay for her mortgage, the residual mortgage, if any, and her utilities and everything else, and still have money to put aside. So this person is going to live abroad off of $35,000 per year. Okay, that's what she's planning to do, to live off of $35,000 per year. So, which is about $3,000 per month. So once she moves out of that duplex, both units probably would net her $3,000 a month plus, right? A nice duplex, 2 to 3 bedrooms, renting them both out at $1,500 a month plus does not seem like a stretch, right? Or she could sell the house. But if she sells the house, sell the house outright and not buy anything. So this is the sell the house and don't own any real estate in the United States. If she sells the house and doesn't buy anything, then she's going to have to pay taxes.
She'll have to pay $112,500 in taxes.
Yeah.
On a $750,000 loan.
Right. $887,500 would be the residual, allowing her to live off of $35,500 a year until Social Security kicks in, and or she can start accessing her pre-tax money. But $150,000 is not going to last long. Hopefully, it's invested in index funds and things that have low fees, right? If I were her, I would put a huge chunk of that money from the house into laddered CDs, a money market account, high yield money market account, and then some of it, a big chunk of it, I would invest it. She needs to have her money making money. However, she has over $1 million, and if she keeps her expenses low, she should never run out of money. All right. So that's Helen House Equity, someone who has no cash, but has his house rich and cash poor. All right. The next one. Here we go. Lori and Lonnie Late Starters.
Where do you get these names from?
I make them up. So they started late like we did. They were late bloomers to the finance game. They didn't understand how money works. They were trying to keep up with the Joneses. They were, paying cash for the kids' tuition because they didn't want their kids to have no loans. And so they did not have a lot saved, right? So they're 45 and 54 years old. They have 181,000 in their investment accounts. But again, they're too young to start accessing that unless they do the latter thing. I'm not going to keep repeating that, nor am I going to explain what it is. Google it. So they have $27,000 of the above is in cash. All right. They own a single family home with about $150,000 in equity. Their plan is to live off of $4,000 a month abroad for $4,000 a month or $48,000 a year. I don't know why I put the or there. Okay. So the first option is when they keep real estate.
Right.
They keep their house, they move out, they keep their house. And here's the questions to ask themselves because it's different everywhere they go.
They want to create a really rental property.
Yep.
They could Airbnb their home.
Right.
They could rent it through professional services.
Yeah.
To
executives.
Traveling nurses, executives.
Professors.
What did I say? Traveling nurses.
Yeah, traveling nurses.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought I said selling nurses.
I thought you said traveling nurses, right? Professional services, executives, right? Even Section 8, at least you're guaranteed the money, right? I'd be very particular about who I got in there, but yeah. I know lots of houses that were in good shape and rented by folks who had vouchers, and the county's paying that money, they're going to be paying it, and they pay high rates too. So that's an option that I didn't put in there. They could create an assisted living house, right? Depending upon how big it is. Like the place that my mom and dad are in is a private home. It's a typical like 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home, 2 baths, something like that. And they put, a couple of beds in each room, and each bed has rent tied to it. So each room is bringing in no less than about $4,000 a month, each room. So that's an option. And because it's assisted living and because the county is going to be checking on it, it's got to be kept in very good condition. It's got to be crystal clean, et cetera, et cetera. And then last but not least, just a traditional lease.
Yeah, just traditional lease.
Yeah.
Or the other option is they can sell the house, just outright sell it, put the $100,000 into investments. Put the 90, is that 50,000?
Yeah, why don't you look here,
okay.
baby?
Yeah, because that's
he needs more medicine.
Put the $50,000 into laddered CDs or money market. We'll still need cash flow with this scenario. Depending on the method, they might have to consider a digital nomad visa at first.
Right. And so reason being is because they don't have passive income, right? They don't have any cash flow. If they sell the house, they don't have any cash flow. They've got some cash, but they don't have cash flow. So, and their money will run out. That $200,000, $300,000 could definitely run out if they're tapping into it at $48,000 a year until the one who's 54 reaches 62 to get Social Security, assuming Social Security is still going to be around by then. So in this scenario, there is an opportunity, especially if they only have to bring in $4,000 a month, there is definitely an opportunity to move abroad and start saving more money. There's an opportunity for one of them to keep their job, work remotely. If they're getting paid $60,000, $70,000 a year, but they're only living off of $48,000 a year, right? Or both of them can get part-time jobs that would equal $70,000 a year. They can put that other $30,000 into their investment accounts so that they can keep building up that money and have their money making money so that when they're ready to stop working, they actually can afford to do it a lot faster than if they stayed in the United States. And if they made $70,000, they'd have to be making $70,000 a piece to be able to live comfortably in most major cities in the United States. And they certainly couldn't live off of $48,000 a year comfortably in most cities in the United States. So this is a way that they can leave faster and not have to wait until they've saved up enough money or have a side hustle that is already going. All right. And then last but not least, we have
Carl and Connie crap shooters.
They're overly optimistic. All right. These folks are in their late 30s, early 40s. They've got a kid. All right. This scenario, they've got a kid. And so they only have $15,000 saved, y'all. Just $15,000 saved. And of that $15,000 saved, $5,000 is in cash. And they think they're doing something because they got, a month's worth of expenses saved up. That's better than some folks. So if they say most folks in the United States are $400 away from a catastrophe, then yes, having $5,000 in their savings is definitely doing something. They've decided that they can live abroad for $2,000 a month from what their research shows. And that's with their kid. So they've got one 8-year-old son. They plan to world school him. If you don't know what that is, it's a form of homeschooling. Google it. And they own no real estate. So they're renters. There's no equity that they can cash into or anything like that. So the move abroad scenario.
Create a side hustle.
Right.
A hustle that generates a minimum of $2,000 a month could turn into passive income.
Yeah, so this would qualify them for a passive income visa, especially if they have their own business, right? And we talked about that earlier. Or they would need to work remotely. This budget only requires that they make $12 per hour. Y'all, did you hear me? If you can live off of $2,000 a month somewhere, that's $12 an hour. So one could work part-time while the other one built their side hustle, right? So whoever is doing the world schooling on, you see where I'm going with this. Like, it's not that hard. Or they work remotely. One works remotely, and then the other one can do the world schooling, take care of the child, et cetera, and get that side hustle going. That will allow them to put even more money in investments and build up that emergency fund. Carl and Connie are going to have to do the digital nomad visa or do tourist visas. All right. Just because you want to bop around does not mean that you need to have a digital nomad visa. You could, as a US citizen, we have entree today into a lot of countries, visa upon arrival. All right. So as we said, we've done a video on this before, which ones have the longest tourist visas. There are 1-year tourist visas in the world for US citizens, y'all. Mexico is 6 months. Most are at least 3 months. Okay. So 3 months here, 6 months there, 9 months here, 3 months, 3 months. You see where I'm going, right? But if you are living off of that $2,000 a month, and we've done a video on places you can live on $1,500 a month, $2,000 and $2,500. We've done all of those videos. So check out our YouTube channel. Then, so $2,000 a month is definitely doable, right? Now this gives them the breathing room to work less, spend more time with their kids, spend more time with each other, and they don't have to make that much more money to really build up their savings and build up that retirement account. All right. So we have just given you 3 different scenarios to help you get out of the country ASAP. We are going to go ahead and answer the last bit of these questions and then let you go. All right. So I think we answered that one. I just wanted to leave that up as a reference. Okay. Karen Louise. Hey, Halisi and Rick, this is a tough topic. Yes, it is. But if anything happened to either of you, God forbid, would either of you remain in Portugal no matter what without your trusted partner? Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I would. I love it here. I love the people. I love our tribe. And so if this happened in the next year or two, God forbid, as you said, because I feel safe and because we've got a strong community here, I would feel okay. Yeah. About staying. I would not, if I don't have to go back to the United States, I'm not going. If I had to make that decision today, I'm never going back. Now, things change all the time. So don't be mad if you hear me changing my tune 3-4 years from now. We'll have to see. But right now, nah. Maybe I'd go to Mexico, spend more time in Mexico to be closer to kids. But, all right, ABX girl, get your passport. You may be blocked. Seriously, do not wait. Get your passport before the next election. Get your passport before the next election. Just do it. Do it. What's today? Sunday. Do it tomorrow. Are you aware of something similar to your move to Portugal virtual summit for people planning to move to Italy, France, or other EU countries? I'm not, Jazzy.
No.
I'm not. And I ain't going to do it. So don't give me the assignment. It's a lot. It's a lot. And every single one of those countries have different requirements.
They got their own rules.
But not, right? It's going to be basically the same. It's just going to be different levels, et cetera, when you have to have it, et cetera. But there are accommodations, health insurance, and income. That's the 3 major things. FBI background check. Those are the major things that most of these countries are going to be requiring. All right. Let's keep going. It's time to go.
Somebody had asked about.
It's time to go, y'all.
Spain's golden visa, the cost of that. And it was $500,000 investment.
$500,000 investment. Yeah, I know people who are here on a golden visa. It was never going to be an option for us. First of all, I'm not giving up $500,000 cash. That's just not going to happen. And I have not seen an apartment, a condo worth 500,000, and there are no Portuguese. Well, that's not true. The average Portuguese person could not afford to buy it from me, nor rent it. So it just never made sense to me. It never made sense to me. The 500,000. Now, what I don't know is, could it be a combination of properties that equal 500,000? That makes more sense. So when is the next summit? I just answered that, first weekend in November. I carry my passport everywhere all the time. Might have to make a run for it. You just never know, given any moment. Plus, I put my last one away for safekeeping and couldn't find it for 15 years. That is a LOL. Okay, Paula, you didn't put a Q in front of it, but I caught it. Regarding the D7 visa, is there a minimum income requirement per person? Yep, I talked about that. So for married couples, it's an additional 50%, and then I think additional 25% for each child. So like for me and Rick, I think it added up to like $1,400 a month, right? Yeah, that's relative, what is considered high income. So here, $70,000, $80,000 is a very high income, and is, I think, if that's what you're netting, that is at the top level of taxes on up, I believe. Hi guys, I lived in the UK with my Black American queen. We lived in the UK for 10 years. In the year of 2015, I wanted to buy in Portugal because it was so inexpensive then. Is it worth it now in 24, 25? I believe so. I just think that you have to be very careful and understand and find the bargain, right? Like to me, if you bought something that has already been fixed up, you're probably not going to get a deal. But if you buy something that grandma owned and just need some lipstick and rouge, you can still find deals. You can still find deals outside of Lisbon. We saw, I want to say, like a 2,000 square foot apartment that had been updated for 235,000 in Aveiro, right? Which is right underneath Porto. So there are still deals to be had. Deals to be had in the city center of Lisbon, not so much. On the other side of the river, absolutely. Hi, folks. Regarding the D7 visa, is the minimum income requirement? Okay, I just answered that. Will Social Security reimburse you for your health insurance coverage in Portugal?
No.
No. And so, Jess, you know that we kept Medicare A and B because that was less expensive than getting travel health insurance when going back to the United States. Allison, baby girl, you ain't playing that lottery, all right? Every dollar that you spend on one of them scratchers, you could be putting into your investment account, all right? You want to get a total stock market index fund. You want to get a S&P 500 index fund or something like that, with low fees to no fees, right? And something that has built-in diversity, all right? If you know the stock markets and you know what to do. If you don't, then I suggest you research index funds, and in particular, the ones that cover a broad range of things, okay? And minimum 1 hour's worth of your work per day should be invested. So you work 8 hours, right? But you get paid for 8 hours worth of work. 7 of those hours are going to be paying expenses and this and that and the other. 1 hour minimum is going to go, you're going to invest in future you. So if you make $20 an hour, that's $20 a day. $30 an hour, $30 a day. $40 an hour. It doesn't matter if you get paid salary, divided by 2,080 hours per year, and you'll know what you make per hour. If you make 100,000, 200,000, or 50,000, there's still an hourly wage. And 1 hour of that, whether it's 60, 70, or $80 per day, that's what you should be investing minimum. You want financial freedom. That is your liberation. And by the way, it cost me $11 for my ticket, red vines, and a drink. America is a ripoff. I don't know what you're saying, actually, BJ, but whatever it is, I know I'm going to laugh. So,
with red vines? Licorice?
No, I know what red vines, but he's answering somebody. I'm single and just retired in Houston. All things considered, would you say that I would be better off in Portugal, Panama, or Mexico? I don't know, John.
It's up to you.
Yeah, that is definitely up to you. Do you feel like you have the life you want in Houston? Are you able to do all of the things that you want to do? Would it be easier if you had a lower cost of living? Do you love being in Hurricane Alley? Do you like being in Texas?
They moved there.
So, yeah, but it could have been the lesser of the evils, right? So, Panama is probably just as hot as Houston. If you like the heat and humidity, I would look at Panama. I'd look at Mexico. Um, Portugal Portugal's a little bit heavier lift. It's not more complicated. It's just tedious. So things have to be done in a certain order, and you've got to time it just right and all of that stuff. But I would definitely consider it, John. If you're retired, take a month and stay a month in Mexico, then stay a month in Panama. Look to see where you would what neighborhood you would feel comfortable. We interviewed Charlotte from Black Expats of Portugal. I think her group is, and so watch
Panama.
that.
Black
We've interviewed quite a few people from Mexico. Look at those videos, get in the Facebook groups and see what you can find out. Spend some time there, see how you feel, see how it makes you feel. Cost of living wise, yes, you're going to be better off. If it's just about cost of living, you're going to be better off. Department of State. Thank you, ABX girl. Not immigration. What I said still remains. It still remains, right? They can be shifting money from the folks from that department within the Department of State, right, and shifting it over someplace else so that they're laying off people who would be approving those passports and doing the administration and all of that stuff. And so they used to have, let's just say, 1,000 people doing it, and now they have 500. That's what they can do. Would you would think that they want us out anyway? Nah, they want your tax money. They want your tax money. They want your talent, your talented, brilliant Black brain to do the same job for less money. That's what they want. They want to be able to scam us into getting crazy ass house loans and losing our houses so that we pay all of this money to their friends' banks, and then somebody swoops in and takes it because grandpa forgot to pay $5,000 in taxes, right? That's what they want. They want us to remain perpetually on the edge and lesser citizens so that they can have somebody to put under their thumb and to say, at least I'm better than them. However, all those rules can change with Project 2025. That's all we're saying. Poland, Belgium just went right and limiting immigrants. It'll be interesting to see how we feel in Belgium when we go there. As a retiree, I qualify for permanent visas in Portugal, Panama, and Mexico. Great. Do you have recommendations of how I can advise my adult children who do not qualify for a retirement visa? So we just talked about that, Lois. We talked about a digital nomad visa, and then we also talked about just bopping around on a tourist visa, right? There are also working visas for people who have jobs but work remotely, but that's not a digital nomad visa. So for people who want semi-permanent residency, like 2 years on up, if they have a job where they can work from anywhere in the world, we know quite a few people here in Portugal that are here on D8 visas, and I'm sure that these other countries have those kinds of visas as well. Mexico, it doesn't matter. They don't care where the money's coming from. You just have to prove you don't need their money. That's all you need to prove.
Need to move it.
What's that?
I was reading Marcia. She didn't have.
Hi guys, I live in Louisiana and my disability and retirement check is $1,300 a month. I want to move, but not enough in my financing. No, you don't have enough, Marcia. You do not have enough, Masha. You need to create a side hustle or get a part-time little job that you can work from home to increase that income. And so that way you can start putting away money and make it happen. All right. I wish we would have known more earlier, right? and most of us would not be in this position as a professional musician. All things considered, would I be better off in Portugal, Mexico, or Panama? Again, I'm not a musician, and there's a music scene everywhere. I would do some research on that as well. Also in the expat groups, we belong mostly to Black expat groups, but we are in, everybody expat group for the different countries, cities as well. Mexico actually has them per city. There's so many of us in Mexico, but most of the time it's for the whole country, like Blacks in Portugal. Ask the people in the group, for the people who live there, what the music scene is like. And, the other thing I would think about, like my cousin who's a musician, he travels a lot. And so based upon where, like if I were based upon where I travel most is where I would make my decision. So if he usually travels to this side of the planet for stuff outside of the United States, Portugal would be the place. If he's usually just in the United States and maybe in Central America, some like Panama and places like that, you see what I'm saying? So be strategic and think about your own life and what would make the most sense. That's because they're Trumpers. Encrypts messages from end to end, not scrambles.
Same thing.
It is the same thing, but I wanted the professional word. Is the toolkit applicable to any country? The Move Abroad toolkit below is applicable to any country. It's just walks you through a plan to move abroad. All right. It's like a 15-page workbook that you can get. And it covers everything from the planning to the moving and the scouting and everything in between. Finances, your budget, all of that is included. I'm healthy in my mid-70s. Congratulations, Rosemary, and still substitute teaching to supplement my Social Security and savings. That was my dad. My primary reason for moving abroad is financial. I don't want to work into my 80s, right? Suggestions. Yes, it depends on how much money you have, sweetheart. But if you have specific questions and you want us to answer, book a call with us, okay? That information is in the description below. I think we might be the only people in Portugal that book calls that are on YouTube, I think. So definitely book a call and we can go through your finances and see, and give you suggestions on where possible locations are. But what you need to think about and what everybody should be thinking about is putting together a list of wants and then a list of needs, or vice versa, needs then wants, however you want to do it. Okay. And then what your budget is. In the Ready to Retire toolkit that's below and the Move Abroad toolkit that is below, we give links to the databases that we use to get the cost of living for cities all over the planet. Not every single city, but every major city all over the planet are in those databases. And so you can just search and say, okay, I got $2,500 a month. I only need a 1-bedroom apartment, but I do want to be city center. I want it to be this safe. I want it to have internet, blah, blah, blah. You can put the whole criteria in, and then you can pick the continents and it will pull up which cities meet your criteria. All right. And so I would start there. And then if you need extra help, book a call. All right. We don't want you working into your 80s either. If you don't have to. For U.S. citizens holding U.S. passports living abroad, do they need to come back to the U.S. when it's time to renew? So we answered that. If the felony is elected, do you think he would interfere with this process? Absolutely. $1,500 a year to get masters. My car insurance for this year was $1,745, right? We suggest that everybody's kids who are not on full ride scholarships leave the United States for education. And the United States really values Western Europe's universities for obvious reasons. And, in Germany, it's free. The United Kingdom, it is like a fraction of the cost that it is in the United States. Here in Portugal, it's a fraction of the cost of what it is in the United States. Spain probably as well, though I don't anticipate Spain teaching in English for some reason. Maybe because so few people seem to speak English in Spain.
Who's Uncle Bo?
So I don't know who Uncle. Where's that? Oh yeah, I don't know. What if you saved 400,000 in your 401k and you're a couple, but you rent and you have 20,000 in debt? Okay. Um, so 400,000 in your 401k, congratulations, Allison.
Yes.
It still depends. All right. You need to book a call with us. I can just tell that already. And I don't know if you are old enough to start taking money out of your 401k, but let me just say this. I will tell you how much to never run out of money off of that 400,000, or to probably never run out of money because there's no guarantees. That 400,000, you would have to live off of $16,000 a year. Okay. So that's not enough. The debt needs to go, especially if it is credit card debt. I love the saying, and I was going to do a reel about this. Never borrow money to look rich, only borrow money to get rich. Right. So, if the debt was just to look rich, or maybe something happened, medical or something like that, and you had to pay with a credit card, you want to get rid of that debt. You need to be saving a lot more money, and you need to have more money in cash, right? When you move, you need to have cash or near cash. What's near cash? Money market account, CDs. We suggest laddered CDs, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 18-month CDs. And every time they come up, do I need the money? No, reinvest it. All right. And so, Uncle Bo, really, so I don't know what y'all talking about.
Somebody made a comment.
Hopefully,
bad choice.
Hopefully I don't have to block anybody.
You probably will block
him. Well, I haven't read his stuff, so I don't know. Macron and France, very racist. I studied there. Yeah, Becca, everyone's experience is going to be different. Okay. Teddy will tell you every day that Portugal is one of the most racist countries on the planet. And that was his experience. That's not been our experience. I've heard people say the same thing about France, but then I know some Black people who love it there. Right.
Yeah, true.
And so I think sometimes we attract what we anticipate. And I'm not saying that's you. I'm not going to say that's you at all, because they want to try to gaslight us, and we know what it looks like when it happens. All right. However, I love visiting y'all for Juneteenth. Thank you, Jazzy D. My right knee has not recovered yet. So I think regarding the racism in other countries, well, number one, I don't know what they're saying, so that's whatever. But if I can't see them being treated differently, if the police are not paying attention to me, et cetera, I'm good, right? It's not lethal here in Portugal. Now, I'm not sure what they're doing in France. I do know some Black French who have moved out of there and are living here. Can your move abroad guide be used for other countries? Okay, so I answered that. What are the cons of moving to Portugal when looking for housing? Are they fully furnished with kitchen appliances, air conditioning, etc.? What is the average cost for 1 to 2 months? Multifaceted, it's all over the place. You can get a place for $600 a month. You can pay $6,000 a month, right? I told you what we paid. No, they're not all fully furnished, just like they're not all fully furnished in the United States. It's a regular country, just like every place else. So they have some furnished, some unfurnished. Kitchens, like in the United States, every kitchen doesn't come with a stove. Every kitchen doesn't come with a dishwasher nor a refrigerator. In LA, every apartment that I rented, I had to provide a refrigerator. And then some apartments that I rented in Los Angeles, I had to provide a stove as well. Here, it's listed as equipped or non-equipped. Equipped kitchens will have the appliances. Non-equipped kitchens will not. And the same with furnishing. Some are furnished, some are not. Most are not, just like most are not in the United States. Air conditioning and heaters are not in every place, and central air and heat is not the norm. Mm-hmm. Rick called the other side of the river Lisboa, the new Riviera. Would you consider buying there, or is it too cumbersome to reside on the other side of the river? It all depends on your lifestyle, CK. For our lifestyle, it would be cumbersome. But we have friends that live over on the other side. They love it. and it's not cumbersome for their lifestyle. And yeah, I would invest in property over, and it's called South Bay Lisboa,
Yeah,
South
not the
Bay,
Riviera.
not the Riviera. So that's what they're calling it over there. And that's Almada, etc. All right, really quickly, here we go. My husband and I are debt free and have 15,000 in investments. Congratulations, Thrive with Shantae, for being debt free. 15,000 in investments. We don't own a home. Is it realistic for us to push to move to Portugal in 15 months? I don't know how much you have in cash savings. We told you how much we had. I would get the move abroad toolkit and go through the workbook of all of the money that you will have to give up for what, and start doing your research. In the meantime, in between time, you want to save as much money as you can and put it on auto. When we made the decision that we did not want to live paycheck to paycheck anymore, that we wanted to retire ASAP, we didn't know that we were going to Portugal when we decided to start saving 65% of our income. We didn't know that we were moving abroad anytime soon. So we had 50% of his income going straight into 401k right off the top, no questions asked. And then another 15% coming out of mine. And that did not even include what we were putting into our brokerage account. Okay. So we were saving a minimum of 65% of our income. And then I had automatic withdrawals that went into our investment account. So that was like another $300 or $400 a month into our investment account. And so certain things we just stopped doing. We cut cable.
Yeah.
We made sacrifices. Like that wasn't really a big sacrifice because we weren't watching anything but the CNBC and MSNBC and sometimes a game here or there. It was like 3 channels and we're paying all this money. So start looking through your budget to see what you can start cutting. And all that extra money, since you're already debt free, you want to put aside. And we told you which vehicles to put that in, right? So you want your money to be making money, and you need a certain amount of, forgot to mention, we're a family of 6. Ooh, okay. What is the cash flow going to be? What is the cash flow going to be? So that's the question. All right. So yeah, I highly recommend everyone to sign up for the online Move to Portugal Summit 2024 scheduled for November. Thank you, Anya. Thank you so much. And, if you need to get your money straight, Beyond the Bling, our financial course for late bloomers, that is in the description below. It comes with monthly group coaching. And we are also doing investment studies. We're reading the book, Take Stock. We're also reading Start Late, Finish Rich. And so there's a little bit of book study type stuff that goes on. Q&A, you can ask us questions every month in a private Zoom. There's a private community that you can ask questions in the in-between time. Hey, H-Town D-Man. Wow, it's been a minute. Ganalisi, we love you guys. Thank you. We love you back. We love you back. So I definitely suggest that. My spouse and I are considering a move to Nevada from California when I turn 55, taking early retirement. Good for you. Before moving abroad. Thoughts on benefits long-term of a more tax-friendly home state? We suggest that, especially for those living in California and New York. Look, we have a condo in California. We have a house in Denver, and we ain't trying to pay them California taxes. We are not. We have not lived there for 20 years, and nah. So Colorado is not that bad at this point. So we'll just keep our residency in Colorado. So if you have specific questions, and I saw some of these questions get very, very specific, right? If you have specific questions, you'll probably want to book a call, all right? That information is in the description below. We do coaching, side hustle coaching. That's what I used to do for a living. I used to coach small businesses and help them grow. So this is what we do. We've always been entrepreneurial, Rick and I. We've had a side hustle for 20 years, y'all. And that's one of the things that helped us when we wanted to make large purchases. We weren't going into debt doing that. We were using our side hustle money to do that. We also have a Fire Over 50 Facebook group. If you are part of the diaspora, and you don't have to be over 50, you do have to be part of the diaspora. Facebook group is called Our Black Utopia, Fire Over 50. And if you want to get residency in Mexico or Portugal, that's what you should watch next. There is another video that we've done. If you just want to move abroad and you need a step-by-step guide, I will put that in the description below. It's going to take a minute. So by tomorrow, it should be there. If you're watching from the future, hey, we love you. And with that,
are we done?
We are done. And we will see you all next week where we are going to talk money, because older Gen Xers and baby boomers are in bad financial straps, as we see from some of the chat that is going on. And I don't think most people realize it. So we're going to talk statistics, and then we're going to talk about what you can do to change the situation ASAP. Love y'all. See ya.